Hello and welcome to On the Esky, our sports podcast, where we like to talk about all the sports that we follow, focusing very much on the domestic football leagues, followed by international sports. This week we want to take a deep preview into last week's game, preview into this round of football, and then of course last week's games in the NRL and AFL. Then we've got the play-in tournaments almost ready to happen for the NBA, and a lot of the teams are getting clinching playoff positions. So that play-in tournament starts on the 18th of May, which is not too far away. Then there's a little bit of news in the NFL and cricket we want to cover, and then we'll go deep into the final round, featuring our F1 golf and soccer chat for the week. Today we're down to the three nufties. Want to send our condolences and our thoughts and prayers out to Macca's future mother-in-law. Hope she gets better, and Macca, we hope to see you next week. But of course, I've got my usual two suspects on my left and further left. Smiling from ear to ear because the Dragons are back in the winner's circle. The long and wrong Anthony, the Pepe Pozzullo.
Yeah, big scalp in the Canterbury Bulldogs. So.
Yes. Bye would probably have just been as competitive. And then on the far end of the table, we've got the fastest research man in Canberra, James the Monkey Magic Webster. And of course, I'm your host, as always, Sean. So I think we'll get stuck in to a shout a beer to kick us off as our first kind of segment. Monks, who do you want to shout a beer to this week?
Yep, I'm going to shout a beer to Rory McIlroy. Winning his 19th PGA championship down at Wells Fargo Championship, Quail Hollows, Charlotte, North Carolina. So he won by one stroke, hitting 3 under in the fourth round. Avoided a mini comeback from Abraham Ansah.
Yeah, Mexican fella.
Yeah, Mexican. Who hit 5 under in the last round. So broke his drought. There's close.
I was going to ask you how long was the drought? So 3 years.
Yeah. So last time he won was in 2019. The WGC HSBC champions in China.
It's good to see him back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, good to see him back in the winner's circle. Next beer's on me.
Excellent. So 3 years. How old's Roy now?
He'd be 31, I think.
He's still plenty of time left in the golfing world.
Oh, bloody oath. And it wasn't like, Jordan Spieth, who's only 27 and hadn't won for 4 years. I think Rory's, I don't think it's quite 3 years. I think
it was November 2019.
Yeah.
So, quick maths, that's not 2 years.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
We're off to
starting off strong here.
We're off to a fucking flyer, but
we're still counting on the end.
Definitely needs one. Big, pressure mounts for professional golfers if they can't win tournaments, which is very hard to do as it is. So good on you, Roy.
Backed him in the Masters, and he didn't do too well there.
No. You reckon he'd want one of these, or do you reckon he'd want one of those brown fucking things that they drink over there?
A pint of. Do they drink Guinness in Ireland as well?
Guinness, yeah, of course. They drink everything in Ireland. What are you talking about? Well, speaking of trying to win tournaments, Pepe, who do you want to shout a beer out to?
Yeah, I'd like to shout Aaron Rodgers a beer. I could have done this last weekend. I thought he was gone last week, and I'm kind of starting to move back to wanting to believe that he might stay. I think the Packers offered him a lot of money today, but we'll get into that later. So I'm sure this will be on 12's mind over there up in Wisconsin. The fact that he's getting shouted one cold, sweet, tasty, amber, refreshing beer from Canberra, Australia, for him to stay at the Green Bay Packers. That's probably the deal maker for him, I'd imagine. So stay with the cheeseheads. A-Rod 12, we love you.
Yeah, through his tears, he's begging here, so please stay at the Packers.
Well, the tears are mostly beer sometimes anyway, so just ring those out and shout them to him.
So my shout a beer this week is going to go to the Canberra Raiders. I think this is the second time I've shouted them out a beer, but for me, it kind of seemed like they may have had a few over the half times that they get into the halftime break and they think, oh, game's done. We're up here. Take it easy. Bust out the cold ones, and then they get smashed. So I think this will lead into our NRL chat and our NRL news for the week. let's talk about the Raiders to kick it off. They've been outscored 93-8 in second halves in the last 5 games. I think if you go back historically, it gets worse. Like they haven't been real great in second halves.
The old faders, if you will.
5 games, that's crazy.
Yes. The classic kind of saying that Ricky's halftime speeches are excellent. So there's something obviously going on in their club. So they were up 16-0 to zip in the game against the Knights. They ended up losing 24-16, not scoring a point in the second half versus 24. And we've talked all the last couple of weeks about all the news and all the soap opera that's happening around the club and the back and forth from all the different players, the captains stepping down or getting off socials, the homesickness. Former Raider who's gone home, I've forgotten his first name, Bateman. John Bateman, and he started with J. Slam's probably a strong word, but he came out and very pointed. Kind of quote from him. Excuse me. You're told to keep it internal, told to keep the news internal, keep it within the club will deal with it. But then, 24 hours later, the journos are chatting about it on, NRL 360 or Buzz is reporting it in the mail. Like it's hard. It's as hard to, told to keep it within the building, within the walls. And then next minute someone's coming around and talking about it as as a journo. So was
that to the players or to like just the Raiders in general?
Well, in general, Brisbane had this problem a couple of years ago, and I think they found it was Maguire was talking to his agent, and his agent was leaking it to journos about stuff that's happening in the club. But the same thing, like Ricky's really close with a lot of journos. Of course, he's had a long playing career and then coaching career up and down the East Coast, so he's well known in those circles. I think a few of the Raiders at point blank have asked him, are you the mole? Are you the one telling the stories? And he said, it's not me. Like, I've definitely not be the one saying it, but, catch him on a Sunday afternoon after a couple of beers, you've got Ricky's tongue might be wagging. But, yeah, it could be anyone. It could be one of the players. It could be players' wives, as we alluded to last week. If the agents or the journos, they have their sources, they're going to find out the news. And as we've been saying, if there's smoke, there's fire. If there's problems in the nation's capital for the Raiders at the moment, we'll just have to see if they can turn it around. Luckily, they have the semi-bye this week in the Bulldogs, as the Dragons quite enjoyed beating them. So they better beat them. But as I kind of alluded to before the podcast, and you say it's one of those things. It's like, are they that in the dumps? That no matter they're a more talented roster, are they still going to end up losing this one?
Yeah, we'll get to that when we preview the round in the NRL Round 10 Magic Round. Let's get stuck into some NRL news. The first pressing story, I suppose, was the entire bunker getting stood down from the Parramatta Roosters game after Dylan Brown led with the knees into Drew Hutchinson's back. He punctured his lung, broke some ribs. It looks like Hutchinson's going to be out for about 6 weeks. Brown... They didn't report him at the time, and then he got reported during the halftime break. Trent Robinson was blowing up deluxe just watching it now in the post match presses because it wasn't reported at the time, but B the Roosters didn't know until like 10 minutes into the second half, so they could have replaced him medically. So Robbo not happy about that. And then in the same play, Murata Niokore got Teddy high, and that's what ended up being the penalty, but there wasn't any sin bin or sending off. I think he got 2 weeks today, if I'm not wrong. Sean, I probably wanted to put this to you. We've been talking about the bunker and the officiating. Is this good enough from them? I suppose the NRL coming out and saying it's not good enough. It's been looked at from 5 different angles. Surely they can pick this up at the time. Yeah, well, I think they probably did. And what I think they're thinking was they've taken it back to the Tedesco penalty. They've given the penalty there. Then everything that happens afterwards didn't happen. Like it's play is dead. Let's use an NFL term here. The play is dead at the point of the penalty. So they've just disregarded everything else. But in the state of where the NRL is at the moment, where it's very high
focus on injuries. Guy gets broken ribs, punctured lung, is in agony. You can see him screaming.
Ambulance to hospital straight away.
Like, I don't think correct me, Marks, you might have to go find the rules for this. If he's placed on report, they can't replace him medically. It's only through foul play due to sin binning. If they can.
Yep.
But at the point was like leading with the knees into a tackle like that, I think is now a sin bill offence.
Yeah.
Because they really don't like that sliding in with the knees, especially to the back area like that.
Yep.
For this very reason, because these are the kind of injuries you end up getting.
Yep.
That maybe if that was a point where Dylan Brown should have been sin binned for that 10, so that means that they lose Hutchison, but they can bring on their medical sub.
Yeah, and it helps the Roosters in that game.
Yes.
So now obviously Brown gets 3 weeks. It doesn't help them. It's the age old thing. Surely you want to try and punish the team in the game as much as you can to give to give some retribution, I suppose, to the other side.
Well, the Roosters lost this game.
Yeah,
31 to 18.
exactly.
Like,
There's no help to them.
no, if they could have had a medical sub.
Yep.
That makes all the difference. Yeah.
Because I don't want to say the point of the refereeing is to try and maintain parity, but it is to referee the rules and have a fair contest. And maybe I don't want to go back to sportsman's first games and shit, but the idea that you've got 13 blokes on the field, 17 in total, that it's 13 on 13, 17 on 17. As soon as you're losing guys through definitely foul play in this regards, and then your numbers start dwindling, you've seen the effects that it has on the teams and on the clubs, because they just they're back in that last 20 minutes. They're cooked. It's really hard to play, and through no fault of their own, through illegal play, the other team has benefited. And then we start falling into the category. It wasn't intentional, of course, but then you get into like, what was that gamesmanship? Where we start talking about intentional injuries to then gain an advantage.
Dylan Brown's intention there wasn't to puncture his lungs.
No,
that's not his intention. It's maybe a bit careless.
Yes,
and he's like it happens like that. But
what
I do. You won't hear this out of my mouth very often, but I do feel sorry for the Roosters in this particular instance. I think we move on and we stay in the same topic in poor officiating. And we're talking about last week with the Canberra Raiders and 2 disallowed tries for Jack Whiten, according to the obstruction rule. There was some very strange interpretations again this week into the obstruction rule. One from this game, the Parramatta Roosters game, where Isaiah Papali'i, he's pretty much gets caught out on the left. Yeah, there is absolutely no. There is contact. There is contact.
Yeah, he touches him, but
don't get me wrong. But Sivo, he's the best. He's one of the best finishers in the game. He's scoring this try regardless, I think. So they take that one back.
100%.
And then there was one in the Dragons Bulldogs game where Ben Hunt plays the ball. He pretty much chucks the hands up, and Paul Vaughan does get the ball inside Ben Hunt and then runs to the outside and goes straight through. Very similar, I suppose, to the Raiders ones that were disallowed, and it's called a try.
Yep. So
it's very up in the air, the officiating of that rule, and it's obstruction rule, quantum mechanics, sports bet, things that I'll never get my head around, I suppose.
Yeah.
Winning in sports bet, I should say.
I'd say just because they're regular season games, a lot of this stuff, I don't want to say gets let slide, like the fan base, like me, Raiders last week, up in arms. If it had been reversed and, like you said, if this had been the Dragons, and, I'd probably be annoyed as well. Like 3 regular season games, you can see it gets maybe slid, under the rug a little bit.
Yeah.
I wonder, you coming into Origin, these are kind of calls, and then into the finals and into the grand finals.
Six again, if anyone would.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't be making those kind of mistakes in that kind of level, and that's why they talk about all the replays and that. But then you're getting bloody replay bunkers getting stood down. That squad of guys that did that session can't back up and then do another game the next day because of their poor form. I don't know.
You don't want to referee bash too much. Like who would want to be a referee? Seriously, it's one of the hardest jobs getting around. But and like you say, the Ben Hunt obstruction
try,
which was a try.
Inverted commas try.
Didn't change the outcome of the game. Para wins this game regardless.
Yeah.
So it's just it's those ones like you did see last week where the Raiders were definitely denied
contention.
the opportunity to win. I still think they adjudicated that one according to the rules, but yeah, it's a very fickle line, isn't it? And it's very very fine between doing justice and a team winning when they probably shouldn't.
Do you think it's to focus on the refereeing a little bit? Do you think it's just gotten worse because people got more invested in it, or do you think? Because I'd say it's in the last 20 years of maybe whenever Harrigan retired, I think refereeing, quality of refereeing has decreased. I don't know whether it was just because he was such a star figure as a referee that he lifted that kind of expectation and he was just different.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think the referee's been the same throughout. I think the camera angles and the coverage and the
media input,
the frame by
talk,
frame and the media storm and everything that comes with it. It
just
might feel like the refereeing is getting worse. It all comes down to human judgment in split decisions, and I don't think it's actually gotten worse. I think it just might be a function of technology.
I think some of their processes just kind of seem, out of character. Get on my high horse here a little bit. I still hate the fact that they order try. The guy's kind of setting up for it. They have 10 looks at it, and then they go, "Oh, actually, no, we've got to review this further." Then they got to spend another 10 looks at it. A couple minutes go past, and it's like, "Oh, actually, no, this is not a try." It's like the process is like the mechanics of you're trying to create a really, really fast game, and then you add in all this other, let's call it red tape.
Yeah,
and
it slows it down.
It just slows it down. Just seems out of play and odd where they could definitely improve that process. And the refs get so much training. They've got a refs boss now, and they've got all the other stuff, and then you've got all the replays, the bunkers, and blah, blah, blah. Just add all that into there. I don't know. It's just a bit of a shitstorm at the moment. And I don't know. See how you can kind of correct that. And we've mentioned in the past. They've gotten rid of the 2 ref system. They went to 1 for COVID and never brought back the second one. Just because of that, I guess it helped with the pace maybe a little bit.
So what does the NFL do that the NRL isn't doing at the moment?
Well, they've got 7 refs on the field, just 1.
Oh, but it's a shitstorm in the NFL as well. Like whenever they review all touchdowns, and you can be sitting there for 5 fucking minutes,
exactly,
looking at a frame.
But I think the expectation's different though, because they've said we're going to look at every touchdown. So the expectation is they're going to score. Okay, they're going to look at it.
I hope they don't bring that into the NRL, because then you'd be looking at
they essentially are now.
Yeah.
The problem is that they're doing it, and then they say now we're going to review it.
Yeah, that's true.
If they said we're just going to review it flat out, then we know they're going to review all tries. It's like, hey, that looks good. Show us the replays, which is us, 1, replaying and reliving that moment, but 2, also seeing if it's an accurate try or not. So that's what I'm saying. The mechanics maybe could get better for how that process works. But anyway, ref.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to solve it tonight.
No, I don't think so. And you've just got up the obstruction definition there. It is just about a full page. So we won't dive too deep into that. Some big news regarding player movements. Xavier Coates, we've been speculating for quite some time that he will be going to the Melbourne Storm.
Done deal, baby.
The pen is to the paper, 2 years, $500,000 a year. A big loss for the Broncos. However, breaking news today, it seems like it's not a done deal, but it seems like Adam Reynolds is going to sign with the Brisbane Broncos, 3 years, $2.25 million. We had been speculating, would he go to Cronulla? Would he go to Brisbane? Wayne Bennett came out during the week saying he's definitely not staying at the club. Yep. This is massive signing for Brisbane.
Yeah, definitely. Let's start with Coates first, because I want to ask you a few questions on because he, of course, is going to replace the Fox. Fox just scored 6 tries last week.
First time in 71 years.
Yeah. My question to you guys is they're switching Origin wingers across, and I think Coates is going to do excellent down there. Probably really hard to replace the Fox. Fox, best winger in the NRL at the moment?
Ooh.
At the moment.
I don't know if that's clear cut. Micah Sevo? Like, in terms of finishing, it doesn't have that open field pace that the Fox has got. But, geez, you give anyone the ball within 5 metres and try and get them to finish a try, Sevo's got to be up there. Toho obviously playing out of his skin, a smaller sample size given he's so young.
Yep.
But, yeah, fair shout, I think. Fair shout.
Well, if we added a few years, last 5 years, best winger?
Yeah, in terms of long-term consistency, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's a good spot for Coates because Melbourne turns out good quality players. It's just pull in one. Do you get a younger version of Fox or no, a different player? But can they turn it? I think the idea is they want to turn him into that Fox, where in the next 5 years we're all talking about how Coates is the best winger in the NRL at the moment.
They are different players. Coates slightly bigger body and lacks probably the pace that Addo has.
Maybe have more leaping ability than Carr.
Indeed, yeah. It's not a like for like trade, but look, you watch his career just take off. He's down in the best system in the NRL over the past 20 years. Everyone goes down there, and their careers. They just take off.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about spines make teams, and they've got a good spine. So
but just look at Pappenhausen
and coaching.
Pappenhausen was struggling at West Tigers. Dale Finucane when he was at the Canterbury Bulldogs. Yeah. No one goes to Melbourne and gets worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, good coaching matters. So let's put it that way. So then we talk about Reynolds. He signs with Brisbane, 3 years, 2.25. I think he had. I don't think the Sharks deal was 4 years. I think it was 3 years as well, but 2.4. There's some talk about the money in that. It sounds like Sharks deal might have been more, but then it sounded like it was
about $200,000 more.
Yeah, but it sounded like it was more up front and then paid less over. So it fell off. So in the last couple of years, it'd be making less money. It sounds like the Brisbane deal was meant to be more than what Sharkies were offering. Obviously, he wasn't real keen on what the Sharks were doing or whatever at that point. The reason Wayne came out and said he knew that Reynolds wasn't staying because Reynolds had been talking to Wayne about what he should do, whether he should go to Brisbane. And Wayne, being a Brisbane legend, ran him through that whole process of what it would mean being up there, and it's a huge get for them.
Massive,
And with Tony Staggs re-signing last week as well, they must have had. He must have known what they were kind of targeting because they'll be 6 and 7, which will be a good 6 and 7 for them next year. I guess Brisbane finally getting a good get means Milford's probably done at the club.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, which it sounds like Sharkies might be looking at picking up Milford to fill that spot in because it sounds like Sean Johnson's on the out, who I think he played his first game back from his Achilles last week and didn't impress. So they might not be real impressed with his injuries.
Offered him 1 year, 400,000, which seems to be much under what SJ is worth.
When healthy is probably the caveat on that.
Yeah, that is a caveat indeed. Moving forward, Paul Gallen might join the Sharks board next year. Interesting.
He's getting paid at the moment, so
yeah, and big Buzz. Buzz Rothfield. He praised someone. He didn't. He said Gal's actually quite intelligent, so that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Is he only clarifying that because Gal was a front rower? Like he played in the forward pack. He's like, oh,
he's intelligent for a front rower.
Yeah, that's right. That's like when you guys talk about me. He's okay for a ruckman. There's a little bit of a caveat there.
Yeah.
TJ Perinaro, he was rumoured to be going to the Roosters to play 9. That's not happening. He has signed another 2 years with the New Zealand Rugby Union.
Staying put.
What's happening with Samoa Rugby League?
Well, we talked about the Johns brothers and not Willie Mason, Sonny Bill
Williams.
Sonny Bill wanting to coach that team, and then that was quickly shut down because Matt Parrish, I believe, is the current coach who replaced Steve Price, who Monkey was saying was still playing over there for Wolves, I believe.
Captain, coach, yeah. Fine line.
He's 43.
Still a leadership role.
It's come out, I think, Papali, for not the World Cup, but for the last round of international games, RTS was looking to play for Samoa. They now appointed Matt Parrish as the head coach. It might have even been the World Cup, and he was like, not doing that. It sounds like 30-odd of the big-name Samoan players from the NRL sent it off to the head of Samoan Rugby League and said, hey, if we want to change at the top, we don't want Parrish as coach. And Samoan Rugby League put out a whole statement saying they were coaxed into doing this. They didn't actually mean it. But a lot of them have said, Papali, I think, came out today and said he'd commit to Samoa if they changed the head coach.
Right.
So it sounds like a lot of the Samoan boys want to play for that squad. And looking at some of the players on that list, they'd be just as good as Tonga is. And
if not better.
If not better.
Yeah.
And be like completely dominant. So they'd have to, but they're all essentially calling for the head coach's head. And the Johns brothers and Sonny Bill, of course, putting it forward and like, hey, they want to play for him. Willie Mason, I believe, has Samoan heritage, if I remember correctly. Might have played for them.
Talking about this the other week.
I think it's Tonga.
Was it Tonga? And I think he was still backing the approach, as in like, hey, we need these island nations playing really, really well to push the likes of Australia, New Zealand, and England. So we want those guys playing, because if they're not going to play in the World Cup, you've got some of your best stars sitting on the sidelines just because they don't want to play for the current head coach. Do you have a list of a possible squad there, Pebby?
Yeah, this is all speculative, I suppose. A lot of guys.
But just read out some of the names.
A lot of guys here already have allegiances to the Kiwis and a
few Australians.
No, actually, I think just a few Kiwis. But they could guys with Samoan heritage. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, David Nofaluma, Stephen Crichton, Brian To'o, Jerome Luai, Josh Papali'i, Junior Paulo, Jaden Sua, Isaiah Papali'i, Tina Fasua Mala'awi, like that is
Big T.
Just right there. That's some like Junior Paulo, Daniel Safidi, Nelson Asofo Solomona. Like good luck.
There's some talent there. Like that's a competitive NRL side.
If that's not the best team in the World Cup, that's the team I'd least like to face.
Yes. Yeah, that's what you consider a dark horse.
Yeah. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens there. I think we press on. I think we get going. 25 minutes
There's
in
a lot of
already.
news. Did you want to talk about injuries at all?
Nah, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. Yeah. I was only going to say that I think that number's only up because they include HIAs in the injury list.
Okay. So very quickly, the Daily Telegraph is reporting that injuries are up 120%, something like that. But yes,
in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see breaking that down. Do they include head knocks?
Because we know head knocks are up significantly in the last 5 years. Because they are now capturing them, they're now reporting on them more, and they're if they're including that in the injury list, of course, it's going to be increasing.
Reporting, underreporting. It's It's like COVID. They say it's underreported a lot of places. So
yes,
let's get into Magic Round 10.
Oh, Magic Round, yes.
I'll grab the boys a beer. Sean, can you introduce the first game? Por favor.
Yes. So as you just said, Magic Round. So that means they're playing the entire round at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Be interesting to see how that pitch looks like by the end of this. I think they space the games out just enough, but it's 8 games of footy across 3 days.
Still 3 days of foot. Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts on Friday night. The first game being Wests versus Newcastle. Wests have only won 2 games this year versus Newcastle's 4. Newcastle coming off the winner against the lonely Canberra Raiders last week. Tigers have had a bit of a sloppy start. They went down to Titans last week, 36-28. What are some of the stats there,
Yeah, well, Adam Dewey was really good in that loss there for the Tigers.
Has he been dropped or put into the back line?
He got put in the centres. So Moses Mbai comes into 6. Bit of a head scratcher there from Madge Maguire. And the bloke that I shouted to be last week, Zach Sinney, he had an absolute stinker. He had 5 errors. I think his fantasy point was -1, and he's back to New South Wales Cup. So there's a little on the Esky curse for you. Apologies to the Cougar.
I will say, overall, the curses last week were pretty good. We didn't actually hit that many of the curses we thought we'd.
There was one in the AFL, and that was it. That was it.
So we were not a bad week for the on the Esky curse.
Indeed. Newcastle, they're 4 and 5. They're just... It kind of depends on how well Kalen Ponga plays for them. He was very good.
He's been up and down. He has his moments.
Very good in the second half against the Raiders. I tell you who's very consistent, Jaden Brayley and Tyson Frizzell.
Yeah.
Who we got? Actually, if you wouldn't mind first, some odds, please, there, Monks, followed by our tips. And I shall be reading Macca's tips in his absence tonight.
Yep. Also known as the tipping god, according to himself.
Yeah, apparently.
So Knights are favourites, $1.50. Tigers are out at $2.60. I'll just grab a line as well. Line is 5.5.
I think this will be close. I think I tipped it as a 6-point margin. I've gone Newcastle.
5.5. Yeah, I've gone Newcastle here. Neutral ground. They're just impressing me a touch more than the West Tigers.
I think their roster's more talented than West Tigers. That's where I'll go at the moment. Kalen Ponga decided, at Suncorp, famous home of Queensland. The Queensland, if he wants to stand up, it'd be a game to stand up for it.
Macca's gone the Knights. You putting a curse on them?
Yeah, I'm putting a curse on them. Gone Knights as well.
Are we?
Yeah.
So then moving in, we've got Manly taking on Brisbane. Manly, the winners over the Warriors last week, 38-32, in a good game. Tommy Turbo, those Turbo Eagles are such a different team. So,
dude, what about his game? 235 run meters.
It was his 100th game of NRL, I believe, too.
Right.
So in his debut, he scored 2 tries. In his 50th, he scored 2 tries. In his 100th, he scored 2 tries as well.
And it wasn't just the 2 meat pies. He had 4 try assists. He's a fullback. Fullback shouldn't be dishing out try assists like that. 5 line breaks, 3 line break assists, 8 tackle busts.
200 plus meters.
Might be the game of the year so far out of anyone in the NRL.
He's so good when those hammies are...
They're a worry.
Yeah. They're not nice and flexible. Let's put it that way.
Something that's been kind of starting to get speculated about is he even better than Teddy, and could he get the 1 jersey for the New South Wales Blues?
If he'd been healthy and played the last 5 years, I think you could probably say he's the number 1 fullback. Pappenhausen, same thing. If he needs to stay healthy, but that's probably what helps Teddy. Is he's super consistent. He's always there, unless he's getting knocked out, which has kind of been a bit of a problem of late for him, and not just him at the Roosters, but he of course has had that 5 years worth of resume to look at where you can say, he's been the most dominant fullback, whereas Turbo's missed multiple parts of multiple seasons over the last 5 years.
And with the soft tissue problem.
And Pappenhausen, this is only his second full year.
Still young. Yeah, still very young.
And of course missed some games already this year.
For mine, I think Turbo's so proven on the wing and in the centres as well.
He can help you out.
Yeah. It's no doubt both of them getting picked for the Blues. It's just
where you put them.
Just where. Yep. I think general consensus, Teddy 1 and Turbo on the wing or in the centres, but unbelievable. He's single-handedly turned that club around, who are 0-4 and in absolute dire straits, and find themselves here at a respectable 4-5.
They're 4-1 since he's been back.
That's right.
And they only lost to Penrith in a game that they were competitive in. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so completely turned the season around. Yeah. A team that season's not tracking too well. The Brisbane Broncos 2-7. They went down by a point to the Cowboys. The big heartbreaker out of them. Pat Carrigan, he had been their standing captain in replace of Alex Glenn, who's been injured. Does his ACL. Poor bloke. This really hurts Brisbane losing Carrigan.
Yeah, Carrigan's a bit of... He's not a lifer at the club, of course. He's only played, I don't say a handful of games, a couple of seasons.
Yeah, but he's very strong in those.
Yes, very strong in those seasons. Of course, filling in that spot, Alex Glenn, who probably won't get in the squad next year. They're looking to move him on. But yeah, Flegler comes in for him, which is another good young player that's playing for Brisbane. But they're a team in all sorts, and I've picked Manly. The Turbo Eagles at the moment are just so dominant.
Indeed. I've gone Manly here, as has Joseph in his absence. I tell you what, though, young Tyson Gamble, he...
Looked good.
Yeah, he didn't look bad. Couple games. Yeah, he didn't look bad.
Put a bit of heart and spark back into the squad, which is what they needed. So, they've now, of course, replaced him. So Reynolds will be the halfback next year.
It's not on this week. Not this week
or this season.
That's what we're talking about. 8 p.m. Suncorp Stadium. Are you putting on another curse, Monk? And some odds, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it might be that way this week. So I have gone Manly. They are favourites $1.37. Broncos are out at $3.10. The line is 8.5.
Ooh, I wouldn't touch that line personally, but I like Manly there.
Manly could put 20 on, like a 20-point lead on Brisbane, easy done. But it is in Brisbane. It's at home. It's the late game, of course, on Friday for them. So
prime time, Magic Round. If there's any time to show up,
yes, it's there.
True.
Moving through to Saturday, the hapless Canterbury Bulldogs, they're 1-8, take on also
the hapless Canberra Raiders.
3-6. They've lost 5 in a row. The Dogs lost 32-12 to the Dragons. They lost Corey Allen and Lachlan Lewis. They both missed this week. But I suppose the big story this week was Cole Flanagan. They hooked him after 60 minutes against the Dragons. Big signing, of course, from the Roosters. He sort of broke down in the presser on Tuesday.
Well, they did a presser with him, and he must have known because I think it was about 2 hours before they announced the team lists. So he was pretty emotional about the pressures of that the top players get put on them in the league.
Yeah, and they asked him about his old man and who was there commentating actually, watching the young fella go out there and try for the Canterbury Bulldogs. Look, I reckon you put Nathan Cleary at the Canterbury Bulldogs this year.
They still stink.
Yeah, you can only do so much. I think, and I really feel for Kyle here because he got dudded. He got dudded by the Roosters last year. He was a second highest point scorer in the whole league last year, and led them to a reasonable campaign. He goes to the Bulldogs this year with not much around him, and he's copping the stick. Look, they've been woeful attacking the football. Like that's fair. That's fair. But I feel for Kyle getting dropped here. I did want to point out something that the Roosters affect. The Roosters affect. They make young. You look at Sammy Walker and the success he's having there this year. You look at a guy like Drew Hutchison who got hurt on the weekend, but these guys that might be young or inexperienced, and you put them in that system, and they go gangbusters.
Yeah,
they go nuts. And you
can look at the talent that's also around them. It helps. It's a factory of premier talent.
That's what I'm saying. And you take them out of the factory, and you put them into this kind of shit show that is the Canterbury Bulldogs at the moment. And the
same happens for a lot of the Melbourne guys that I don't want to say they're system players, but you put them out of the system. Some succeed, but a lot of them struggle as well.
Yeah.
A lot of their big forwards that have moved on to elsewhere besides Tamo. Did Jason play for them? No, he didn't.
James Tamo.
No. Why have I got James Tamo in my head?
I don't know, but he played for Penrith.
He played for Penrith. Yeah, he played for Cowboys before then. And maybe it was a guy that played with him at the Cowboys. I've crossed wires here. It's all right.
You'll have to look that one up. I've got no idea.
Yeah, we'll skip that. But anyway, there's guys coming out of Melbourne. Same thing. The guys coming out of the Premier clubs, the lower clubs want what you've got. They buy who they think are, sending players. They hope that works out. But sometimes you pay millions of dollars for a guy that just doesn't work out.
That's right.
True.
So Brandon Wakeham and Jake Averillo into the halves this week for the Dogs. They take on the Raiders. We've already spoken about their second half woes. Semi Valemi comes onto the wing for Jordan Rapana. Sean,
for a leg, I think, leg injury.
Sean, the resident Raiders fan, surely, if there's a game to have when you're 5 on the trot, it's the Canterbury Bulldogs.
Well, we talked about this a little bit off air, the round of NRL this week. I don't want to say all the games kind of pick themselves, but there's a clear favourite in a lot of the games.
Yes.
Canberra are a clear favourite in this game, but if all the games on this list, if one of those was going to be the upset,
it's this one, do you think?
You start looking at where Canberra are, all the stories are coming out, the way they've played poorly in all the second halves. Are they right for the picking? Are the Doggies going to stand up in this one and be able to knock Canberra off away from home at a neutral ground at Suncorp on Saturday afternoon? I considered it for a very long time. I looked at it. I had it sitting there. Which one do I tip? I stayed strong. I picked Milk in this. I've gone with the Raiders. I just think the Doggies suck too much. But I had the whole thinking, dropping Kyle Flanagan, the emotion. Yeah. The other boys are going to see that. That might G them up. They might be up for this game. The Raiders are struggling. They got Josh Hodgson back on the bench. How that all fits together and all that dynamic. And when he comes on, blah, 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 etc. You start the numbers, Mason. You just start thinking about all the numbers. and then you're just like, I've gone with the simple answer here, but I'm worried. Like I could see Canterbury winning this game.
I'm going to try and ease your worries there. I've gone the Raiders too. The Raiders can't score second half points. The Canterbury Bulldogs can't score points.
Yeah.
So
true.
So that's my thinking here.
Get 30 in the first half and then have a couple of beers at halftime and still win 30-10.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Macca's also gone the Canberra Raiders, Monks.
I did all right last week in the tipping. Sean convinced me pre-podcast. I'm just going to go wild this week, and I'm going Bulldogs.
Are you going to put a tenner on that? Can I have the odds, please?
Yeah, give some odds in this game.
So Raiders are favourites, $1.15.
That's short.
Bulldogs are out at $5.50.
That's it. What's the line?
The line's 15.5.
I would actually jump on that line personally. Like the Dogs, they're in all sorts. They're in all sorts. But you're talking.
I don't expect them to win.
But you're talking about a team that has been like in national headlines for close to a month.
Mm.
Don't mind that. Don't mind that at all. Good
Little
on you for
sneaky
tipping it.
We'll see how that goes.
See what happens. Moving into the 5:30 Saturday game, the Cronulla Sharks, they're 2-7, take on South, coming off an absolute belting last weekend at the hands of the Melbourne Storm.
Another team to put up a big donut and get pumped.
We should mention that actually. So, no team that's ever conceded 50 points in a game has won the comp in that year.
So, bye-bye, Souths.
Talk about Cronulla.
They got 48-0 against.
They were equally as putrid. What about Will Chambers talking shit to Penrith, saying, you got to win one of these, pointing at his finger. Obviously, he wasn't wearing the ring, but that's what he was alluding to. Can you talk shit when you're getting beat 48-0?
You won a grand final. You won you roundabout. Yeah, maybe. It depends on when it is. If it's after 48-0 and it's the full-time siren's gone, maybe not then. Maybe if they're giving you shit, they're 20 up and they're just like, what have you boys done recently? Oh, you choked in the grand final.
No, they're the best team in the NRL over the last 18 months. So.
Yeah, and they choked in the grand final.
Oh, come on now.
So, you've got some bragging rights there.
Maybe
not when you've been...
You can't run your mouth when you're getting beat like that.
Well, maybe not when you've been in Japan for a couple of months and then you've come back to join the Sharkies who've won 2 games this year.
Yeah, and doing absolutely fucking peanuts for Pepsi's fantasy team. So.
Yes. It probably is a little bit rich.
Andrew Fafita has been named on an extended bench. He
finally getting a run.
Yeah, been probably the highest paid reserves grade player this year.
Him and Matt Lodge, I think, are the two. And neither have been...
Lodge has played a fair bit for the Broncos.
Yeah,
Fafita hasn't had a game.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, Lodge is out of the squad at the moment, but both of those were the ones we were talking about last week. Maybe looked at the Roosters for some extra firepower. Nothing, of course, happened in that regards in the week ensuing.
Indeed.
So, maybe Sharky's like, oh, well, we're paying him, we might as well play him.
Big loss for the Sharkies. Jesse Ramian, he has been one of their best. He fractured his eye socket. It's always a nasty bloody injury. Yeah. So he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks there. We actually watched live Souths get absolutely dismantled by the Storm last week. Of course, they were missing Latrell, Adam Reynolds, Cam Murray, Campbell Graham, to name a few. So Reynolds should be back this week.
Possibly.
Can we get some teams up there? I think Latrell...
Reynolds is back.
And Latrell still has a game on his suspension. So taking that into account, Cody Walker has been re-signed.
Yeah, it was interesting. They were going to do a presso for this, and then I think Cody got a bit cold feet and didn't want to do it because he was worried that they're re-signing me and I'm going to snub Adam Reynolds, who's my boy. He's
they're
my
good
guy.
mates. They've played together for a long time.
I think maybe it's probably not an issue now. Adam's come out and told all the boys, I'm going to Brisbane. So Souths aren't doing me good, so I'm going to get a good deal and go up there and see out my career at Brisbane.
What about this weekend? What are your thoughts?
South by a lot.
South by a lot?
Yeah, they're going to bounce back. Wayne will be stuck in them after getting pumped by 50. They're top 4 or 5 side at the moment, so they need to be doing better than getting pumped 50 by Storm.
Well, they've been great. Their only 2 losses have been to the Storm, and you remember back in round 1, the Storm got off that fast start, and South come back very hard in the second half there. Yeah, I've also tipped South, as has Macca, but they got smoked last weekend, so I'm not super duper confident about a high scoring South affair. And
Cronulla got smoked, so
it's 98. It's 98-0. These 2 teams against their teams last weekend. So
there might be some points in this. They might let some points flow as they kind of release some of that frustration from not getting any points last week.
Sexual frustration.
Of course, picking South though.
Marks.
Yep, Souths as well. So Souths are favourites $1.31. Cronulla Sharks are out at $3.50. The line is 10.5, and total match points is 43.5.
I like the overs there. I think
that's not bad.
Both these teams can score.
It's just whether the Sharkies throw up another donut. That's
Well, they can't defend.
Yeah.
Like as we saw last week.
So it's either can they score a couple of those points or just our to score 43 on their own. You'd hope they'd be able to score some
I don't
points.
think. Yeah, I like the overs on this. Anyways, we must move forward. The Sydney Roosters take on the North Queensland Cowboys in the late game on Saturday. The Chooks 13-point losers against the Eels. Nat Butcher, he made 70 tackles in this game. 70 tackles.
Light work.
The NRL record is 78, if you don't mind, from Michael Luck in 2009. Ben Marshke also made 69 tackles last week. I suppose that speaks volumes to the amount that the Roosters had to defend against Para. Matty Ikavalu, hat-trick in a losing side. Pretty interesting there. Lockie Lamb comes in to replace Drew Hutchison. In terms of the Cowboys, they're 4-5. Their season's back on track after a very mediocre start. Jason Taumalolo was back to form with 230 run meters. And you guys see that try from Cole Felt?
Yeah, well, just the arm just sneaks out the back and then
How did that happen?
puts it down.
He's dead set getting tackled by four blokes, and then just somehow the ball just comes out and
he knew where the try line was and was like, this arm's free. I'm just going to throw this out over here and then maybe a more
good awareness.
I think it was just crazy.
It might have been the NRL or Fox League or someone posted the Michael Jordan from Space Jam when his arm just keeps going and going and going and going to get the dunk.
Stretching it out there.
That was mad. Surely the Cowboys can't get the job done here. No,
the Chooks are beat up though, so that's
but they've been beat up all year.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
They're getting more beat up.
They are.
So they're kind of struggling
up in Queensland as well.
Yeah. Whether I don't think the young fella Joseph is going to get a run yet. They kind of
Sawali, that is.
Sawali, yeah. They're kind of holding off on him. Maybe he gets a run in this. They might have to force to play him. I think at this moment they're kind of trying to hold off on that. But I think the Roosters still just too good for Cowboys at this point. I picked the Roosters.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've gone the Roosters here, and I believe
I've gone the Roosters as well.
And Mac has gone the Roosters too. Odds, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep, so they are favourites, $1.25. Cowboys are out at $4. Line is 12.5.
Oh, that's a big line.
It's probably closer than that, I think, this one.
I feel like this one could be close.
Yes.
Moving into the Sunday games, the New Zealand Warriors 4-5 take on the Parramatta Eels 8-1. The Warriors lost to the Tommy Turbo show essentially last weekend.
They were strong in that game though. They put on 32 points.
Indeed.
I think led for most of this game as well.
Definitely parts of it. And Para, I was saying to you boys last week, they've only beaten. They'd only lost to the Dragons, but
hadn't beaten any quality.
They hadn't beaten any quality sides other than the Melbourne Storm in one game. As it was going to be a big test, if you would, and they looked really good. The big story, I guess, out of Para was this COVID rule. So essentially, they were told that anyone that had played in the New South Wales Cup last week can't train with the team.
Yeah, can't join their bubble.
But they're allowed to play this weekend. So, yeah, go work that out. Well, and Jacob Arthur, who's gonna debut, is the son of Brad Arthur.
Yep.
And he lives in the same house as Brad Arthur.
Yep.
So, again, COVID rules, try and work them out.
But the other thing that was interesting was his whole contract because he's on a development contract.
Yeah, so they had to bump him into the top 30 contract this weekend.
And they had to try and find 30 blokes so they could get enough guys to fill a full 20-man one-man squad.
Well, that's what they were saying to the league. Like, you can enforce these rules or we can't field a team.
Yeah. Because Dylan Brown was out for the 3 weeks.
Suspension. Yeah, Corey got the suspension.
For 2 weeks,
Yeah, they must have had an injury or two here or there. It's very disrupted their preparation going into this one.
Yes. Yeah. So looking at the Warriors, they're 4-5. So, they're due to maintain their 500, their average.
Yeah, we do talk about the Warriors.
They lost to Manly. Like, this could be the game where they stand up and they surprise Parramatta coming off these things. I've picked Parramatta because they are the heavy favourites. Like, I think it makes sense, but it would not surprise me if Warriors win this game somehow because Warriors.
10 tend to agree with you. I've gone Para here, but who knows with the Warriors? They really did push Manning last weekend.
Yep. I've gone Para as well.
Odds, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep. Oh, what did Mac go?
And Macca's a Para as well.
Macca's gone Para as well.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, odds in that one.
All right. Yeah. So odds are Para are favourites at $1.37. The Warriors are out at $3.10. Lions 7.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, close-ish. They're expecting a close-ish game.
Yes. The final note in that one was Nathan Brown has actually re-signed with Parramatta as well, so he'll be there for a couple more years. So then on to one of the better games, I'd say, in this round, where we get to watch Dragons get pumped by Melbourne.
Whoa. So the 7-2 Melbourne Storm take on the St George Illawarra Dragons 5-4 Sunday at 4 o'clock. 3 Sunday games this week in Magic Round.
Yep.
Storm obviously coming off that thrashing of South Sydney. Josh Adokar, we watched it unfold live last week. He scored 6 tries. The first time it's happened in 71 years on the Esky history.
Yes.
It's happened a few times now.
Absolute greatness.
I want to look up the last guy, Jack Troy. Shout out Jack Troy. If you're still kicking around.
Good job, mate.
Did it for Newtown back in 1950. What about Cam Munster? His goal kicking
5 for 10, I think it was.
pretty ordinary, but he can take the piss out of himself. He posted it on his Instagram, that one that he got before halftime. All the boys come jumping on him and shit. It was from the sideline and it come in off that upright. He seems like a lad that you'd definitely like to have a beer with, Cam Munster.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Storm.
Yes. Run through where they're at with some of their injuries.
So the Cheese is out. Brandon Smith, that is. He took an early play for a shoulder charge. Cam Munster sprained his foot. 2 weeks. Harry Grant, hamstring at training, 2 weeks. That's 3 massive outs. Riley Jackson comes into the 6. Kenny Bromwich is going to play 9, so not a recognised hooker.
Yeah, big boy playing 9.
Dragons coming off a 32-12 win against the Canterbury Bulldogs, ending their 3-game losing streak. They are rank outsiders this week. But if there's any week to play the Melbourne Storm, it's this week.
Yep.
Pappenhausen's not back, obviously. We just mentioned
He's in reserves.
All that talent. So they've named him on an extended bench.
Yeah, I think he's working his way back in. I don't think he'll play
So
this
probably
week.
won't play, but yeah.
Oh, you never know.
You never know. He's around. Do you know what? For me, from Melbourne, for those 2 blokes with 2 weeks out, that screams to me that Craig's resting these guys, knowing that they're coming into an origin period.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, if this was coming in the finals, I don't think either of these blokes, for a foot sprain for 2 weeks, they'd take the shit out of it, send him out there. Hammy, or maybe I could see them rubbing the shit and getting more flexible, get him nice and warm, and send Harry Grant out there.
There's more Dr. Gould on there.
Yeah,
I like that.
If it was an important game, it would not surprise me if both of these blokes played.
Of course not.
But knowing that I think in 3 weeks, so these guys probably won't play until Queensland gets the origin.
At least until the team's picked,
Yeah, because there's another 2 weeks. So leading into that, maybe they have one kind of game before going to that. Knowing that they're probably going to have to play a lot of football over the next 2 months, maybe Craig's just like, well, we're up 7-2 at the moment. We probably don't need to push Para and Penrith any further. Let them finish 1 and 2. We finished 3. Happy with that.
What does that say to the team, though, if that's the case?
Well, Craig's not
about this game.
Wouldn't come out and say it exactly how I've said it. He's going to say, "Oh, the boys are hurt. We need to step up in their absence."
Oh, much smarter than we are.
Yeah, exactly. But it wouldn't surprise me if he's just like, "Well, you got a little bit of niggles. Let's get them right, knowing that they're both going to have to play Origin, and then we can get them right for the back half of the season. We don't want to burn them out now,
right? Yeah.
So we can get some free rest time out of them and not lose too much of it. Coming up against the Dragons is a good out for them too, because Dragons, yes, could upset them, or the other side is the Dragons. So depends on which one shows up. They could suck this week, and then they put 30 on the Dragons. So,
and that's the way you've tipped, I imagine, Melbourne.
I have gone Melbourne. I tipped Melbourne, completely forgetting that Munster and Harry Grant were out, but I still think they're going to be too good.
Joseph has tipped his Melbourne Storm. I've tipped the Dragons. Look, Melbourne's Melbourne. There's no reason why the Dragons should beat Melbourne. But if there's any week that you want to play them, it's when they're this undermanned.
It would not surprise me if Jerome Hughes comes out of this and ends up being man of the match. Let's go. 1 try, multiple kick meters, and 4 try assists.
4.
Yeah, and he's like man of the match. He absolutely dominates.
Big prediction there.
you
Monks,
go.
if you got the odds and your tip, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, who'd you say playing 6? And it's not Cooper, is it? No.
Riley Jacks.
Ryan Jacks.
Riley Jacks is going to play 6.
I've already backed the Dogs, so I can't back the Dragons.
You've already picked your upset.
Yeah, that's it. Melbourne's heavy favourites, $1.15. St George are out to $5.50.
That might be a
Can I
sneaky
get a
tenner
line?
for you.
Can I get a line there?
Yeah, line 16.5.
Undermanned Melbourne. Look,
Unders.
maybe I'm looking at this with red and white glasses, but I'd take 16.5 there.
Oh. Maybe.
Time will tell.
We'll see.
Is the last game or second last game?
This is the last game. Gold Coast Titans, they're 4-5, coming up against the red hot Penrith Panthers 9-0. Gold Coast coming off the win against the West Tigers, but they've lost their star recruit David Fafita for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Careless high contact on Adam Dewey. Penrith coming off that demolition of the Cronulla Sharks 48-0. Nathan Cleary, he is that good. Like, hands down, the best 7 getting around at the moment. And his no-look pass to Jerome Luai to set up Burton last week was al dente. Let's say it
He started
let's say it that way. Charlie Staines had a hat trick. Can't imagine anyone is tipping the Panthers to end their run.
I was just trying to rack my head. Is there any other Australian football team at the moment that's undefeated? Are the D still undefeated?
Melbourne Demons.
So, yeah, they're the last 2. So, still on. Can Penrith go an undefeated season? Like, they're. I think through the Origin period, probably not, because they might get cleaned out. Like, they'll clean house of all their Origin guys.
Well, this is interesting because Cleary definitely plays Origin.
Yep.
Then there's a lot of debate around Isaiah Yeo and Brian To'o. So they're maybes.
Maybes.
Kurt Capewell probably plays.
Well, he's not playing in this game, so he didn't travel with Penrith for whatever reason. You have to, Mark's maybe look that up, but I don't believe Capewell's playing in this one.
Yeah, he's out.
Oh. Just have a look at
But
that.
if he's fit, let's say he plays for Queensland, I think they want to put him in the squad after his heroics last year.
And then there's a shout that Jerome Luai also.
Yeah,
So
or
that-
Coruscant maybe, but I think they prefer Cook over
Coruscant's coming off one game. I don't think that's a conversation that needs to be had. So that's 5 guys, but there's literally the only guaranteed 100% guy that's playing is Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
So it could be that the informed shit hot team in the whole
This is
league.
one bloke, yeah.
Seriously, it could happen that only one of them plays Origin.
Yeah, and then they end up dominating that Origin period. So yeah, they could be looking at a very, they had a record season to end last year. Wouldn't surprise me if they do one better this year.
Capo?
Yeah, he's missing out because he failed his HIA.
Yeah, unfortunate. So I think we all went Penrith. Odds.
Penrith.
Yeah. Odds.
Penrith by a lot.
Yeah, you can't get much shorter than this. So the favourites are $1.07. Gold Coast are out at $9.
Yeah, I don't think Gold
Line?
Line's 20.5. Total match points is 42.5. So Panthers scoring most of those points.
Yeah, they probably will.
That's what
as
they
well.
think. At the end of it's a game of rugby league at $9, but yeah, I can't see the Panthers losing this one. That'll wrap up our NRL chat for the week.
Yes. Let's roll into some AFL and the AFL news. I guess we should probably start off with the whole Port. Well, it's more Koshy and Eddie getting stuck into each other, but Port changing into their prison bars jerseys for their team song after being told by the AFL they're not allowed to play in the jerseys. Koshy and Eddie, of course, have been exchanging words back and forth. I think Eddie was getting stuck into Koshy's nose. Probably get stuck into you about your nose if that's the case as well.
That's why I got to stick up for Koshy. and I wish Macca, our bald-headed friend, was here because between the big nose and the bald head would be a team Koshy. Eddie, he's not the fucking president anymore. Like, why is this his battle? This just seems like two egos going at it. And whilst I just said I'm defending Koshy,
He's a flog.
I do think they're both flogged. I do think they're both massive flogs. Yeah. A guy that I don't think is a flog is Port Adelaide coach Ken Hinkley. He's just saying, look, it's a show of respect to our heritage.
Yeah.
Port Adelaide was established in 1870. That's so old.
Yep.
This story's not going away. I think these two fucking fossils are going to keep going at it.
Well, I think the AFL's going to come out and say something and just make a decision on it. It's like, hey, we're going to penalise you for whatever reason, or we're going to, who the fuck cares, and we'll just move on.
But what can they do in your own dressing room?
Well, it's kind of what I talked about to you boys.
Because it's televised.
Yeah, because of the whole IP and Collingwood being pissed off that you're showing our IP live on TV. Like, we've been behind closed doors and no one knew about it but the players, and it was that kind of thing.
Well, is Eddie Maguire going to take offence to every single football club that's wearing black and white prison bars? Yeah, but
it's the direct competition, so that's the problem. Like, they won't go after the younger, mum and dad clubs because it's just mean, unless you're Nintendo. Like, they do it a lot because it's their IP. They're happy. They'll happily fight. Yeah, exactly. They happily get stuck in for using their IP. So there is legally, there's probably some grounds. I think AFL, actually, we worked this out, owns the licenses.
Yeah, so AFL owns
jerseys.
The design patent for the jerseys, not the Collingwood Football Club.
So Eddie's got no leg to stand on here.
No. So it's whether
the argument could be if the Collingwood Football Club pays a license fee to the AFL to,
which is not out of the realm of possibility.
I'm sure they don't.
Well, I can't imagine.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know how they'd.
Or there'd be an agreement with AFL and Collingwood that they'd be the only ones that use it. So Port would be in a breach of that agreement. Which puts AFL in hot water. So essentially, it's AFL's mess to clean up. The AFL told them don't wear it, and they did. So whatever the AFL wants to do, they were trying to do the big middle finger to Eddie. Honestly, that's what it was. Get stuck into the pies. Fuck you guys. But the AFL's like, well, it's now our mess, and we got to figure out what we're going to do. So they'll either hopefully leave it for a couple of weeks and it'll disappear. But if Eddie and Koshy keep talking about it in the media, then they'll have to do something like. Anyway, it's much to do about nothing.
You ever see that episode of Family Guy where Peter Griffin stood next to that big red button and it says "Do not press"? Yeah, you got to press that button. You got to press it.
Oh, Koshy pressed it with his nose. Like, come on.
And his bald head. Moving forward, Shea Bolton and Dan Rioli, they were involved in a little nightclub dust up.
Yes.
Rioli needs some stitches. He'll be right for the weekend. However, Shea Bolton
on the
Esky curse.
After Gene him up.
Yeah, it probably was leading their best and fairest, probably been their best player this year, the Tigers. He's got to miss up to 3 weeks. He had surgery, I believe. On his
fractured his wrist.
Wow.
Lesson learned, like, if you don't know how to throw punches, don't throw punches because you will break hands and wrists very, very easily.
No, but what if he broke their, like, how's the other guy, What about their face on?
It's possible, but if you're... this is why when you see NBA players have fights, they run in throwing kicks because they know how useful their hands are.
That was one fight. Anyways, I think the big thing over this, the story goes that there was some inappropriate behaviour directed at Dan Rioli's missus.
I guarantee some blokes pinched her on the arse and he's taking exceptions to it.
And Shea Bolton stepped in to help out his mate. And Dimmer, you know what I love about this whole story?
Yeah.
Dimmer he spoke on 360 and he goes, we don't condone violence. But if anyone's been put in that situation, you're going to stick up for your partner. You're going to stick up for your mate.
You're not just going to cop that on the chin.
And I think that's a testament to Richmond's culture. Like, that they look after each other.
Yeah.
That all right, that's your story. We'll stick by that. I'm gonna stand by you. I've got trust in you as a player. And they back their boys. And I think that speaks volumes of that club.
Because I can't remember. It was one of the ladies' birthdays is the reason they were out for the nightclub.
It's Saturday night.
But who cares? There wasn't just the two of them. There was other Richmond players there.
Yeah.
There'll be footage of the nightclub. They'll be able to review that and make a decision what happened. But, it sounds like from this other individual, some, gross acts being a bit handsy as well. I'm assuming. It would not surprise me. They said inappropriate behaviour. That's very inappropriate.
It might have been some words. But yeah, either way, I love that Dimmer's just gone out and said, "Look, we don't condone it, but if someone's having having a crack, you can go in and back up your mate."
So how's this different than from your boys, the Dragon Boys? Getting picked on for racism.
That's it.
And then they're defending themselves, and then they could miss a week footy.
Yeah, well, it was...
Both these blokes ended up hurt, so they've got to miss weeks.
Well, Rioli will probably play this weekend.
He'll probably play with some stitches, but yeah.
Corey Norman copped 1 week. 1 week. Yeah, it does. It's kind of similar.
Probably context.
Yeah, it's all context related. Who knows? It's all he said, she said, they said, kind of rhetoric. But yeah, the thing that stood out for me was Dimmer's reaction.
Yeah.
Willie Rioli is in hot water again. He had 25 grams of weed on a flight from Darwin to the Tiwi Islands. He was sacked by the Eagles in 2019 for swapping his piss for a bit of weed. Look, it's legal in a lot of places, but dumb, I suppose, from him. You just kind of hope that and look, AFL clubs, and they're looking at people. They want to. If you want to try and get back, I think he's 24 years old, into an AFL system, then there's all these red flags.
I think they'll look at this and go like, it's weird. They'll understand that, hey, it's not super legal in this country, but the stigmatism and the understanding of what you get from the other cultures, and especially US culture and US sports.
Yes,
that it's nowhere near as big as the deals it used to be.
No,
it hasn't adjusted here enough. Whether it does, wouldn't surprise me if we follow suit, and the not too many distant years, being a bit of a progressive country, that I think he'll get a second chance, and they'll sort this out. Like it wasn't enough to supply. It was a small amount for him for personal use. I think the biggest issue was he taped it up and had it in his shorts trying to smuggle it on a plane, which not a great idea.
No, I think he was going back to the Tiwi Islands, and I can't imagine they got too many reefer plants back there. But I don't know. You want him to get back to where he could be, but a bit of a sad story there. A really good story.
Yeah. Driven by on the Esky.
Well, the president, the president of the AFL is listening to on the Esky. Gillen McLaughlin, he's our new listener. Shout out, Gillen. Thanks for tuning in. We had a big old whinge last week about team lists not getting announced on Thursday nights. Well, guess what? From next round, they are going to be. So Gillen's been listening. He goes, I care about your fantasy teams. I care about if you want to do a podcast on a Thursday night. You need to see the ins and outs. Stop speculating. Bring it back to how it was. Thursday nights is coming back. Yes. How good?
Yeah.
How good? Yeah. So a win
probably
there for on
deserves a
the
beer this week as well.
Yeah. That was a good shout out.
No,
good call, James.
No, Aaron, you have that one beer that's going to get you to sign with the Packers, and Gillen, I'll sort something out next week. All right, Friday night.
Let's run into the preview.
St Kilda, Geelong. The Saints are 4-4. The Cats are 5-3. The Saints, they had a really magnificent fourth quarter comeback against the Suns last week. 9-point winners. The duo of Paddy Ryder is only a few games back, in Rowan Marshall. They dominated in the ruck. Jack Billings, Jack Steele, Zach Jones, very good through the middle for the Saints. And then the Catters, wowee. They demolished the Tigers. This was our only on the Esky curse last week. Sorry to any Richmond fans out there.
Backed in Geelong last week.
No, Monkey was the only one that picked him. Yeah.
Hey, that's right.
So shout out Mr. Monkey for picking Geelong and out of these ones.
No, it was the Saints game.
Yes.
So the Saints, who won last week against the Suns, well tipped the Suns.
Yes.
That was the curse. My apologies. Last week the Cats against the Tigers. The top 8 ball winners were all Geelong Cats. Cam Guthrie, we've spoken about him. He topped him with 36 disposals.
His brother did well, coming back as well, playing for them.
Indeed, Zach Guthrie. But the talls for Geelong, 15 goals for their tall forwards. Jeremy Cameron had 6, his breakout game as a Cat. Yeah. Gary Rowan 5, and Tom Hawkins kicked 4. He could have kicked more because he was dishing them off.
I think Gary stole a few from him late as well.
In the forward 50. Well, we were worried a few weeks ago about Geelong. We thought, they're pretenders. They're not the real deal. And then they went out and demolished West Coast.
And without danger as well. So.
And now they've demolished the defending premiers in Richmond.
Starting to heat up.
They're 5-3, but geez, they're looking very good. Amongst some odds, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. St Kilda, on the other hand, a bit. I don't want to say the New Zealand Warriors of AFL, but they've been up and down. They get real hot and surprise a couple teams.
Very hard to predict.
Yeah, very hard to pick them. But I think Geelong are going to be too good. I've backed Geelong in this one.
Yeah, I've gone the Cats, and as has Joseph.
Yeah, I've gone Cats as well. So hopefully we don't put the curse on them this week. They are favourites, $1.38. St Kilda out at $3.06. The line here is 16.5.
I'm taking that.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah, from what I've seen
Geelong
in
Geelong.
recent weeks. Moving through to Saturday. Sean, do you want to introduce that? Would you like to be here?
Yes, please. So we got Swans taking on Collingwood. I think I was one of the few that picked the Norths to upset Collingwood, but Collingwood did the job. They ended up winning that game by 18 points, so it was a bit of a closer game. But Degoe was back. I think he booted 6, didn't he? Yeah, so he had a good game. Dusty Moore got 19 marks as well in the back. The Swans, on the other hand, they had a valiant loss to the D's. D's still undefeated, 9-point loss to them. Aaron Gouland and Tom Papley had a big collision in the first contest. Are either of those blokes playing in this one, Peppy?
They're both playing.
So they're both in the list, so they should be fine. Sydney have had 4 games this year decided by less than 10 points. They're one of those young, upstarty kind of teams at the moment. Having said that, I think Collingwood are still poo-poo. So I've gone Sydney.
Yeah, I've gone the Swans here. Really surprising that they're at 5-3. Everyone was kind of writing them off, and they've had a few close losses. And, geez, if they're pushing the 8-0 Ds, then surely they take care of Collingwood this weekend, I would think. Mac has also gone the Swans.
Yeah, unlike the Crows who started off red hot and faded since then. Sydney started red hot, have had a bit of up and down as guys come in and out of the squad. Think Buddy's still out for them.
Yep.
And will be for the foreseeable future, but they've still got a young core and they've got some real good talent there. They've got some good finds. I think, is Tom Hickey's playing? No.
Yeah, Hickey. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about him playing last week. Another great get for them.
Monks?
Odds.
I've gone Sydney. They are favourites $1.30. Collingwood's out at $3.57. The line is 21.5.
Man, Collingwood stink.
Yeah. With that list,
Yeah, exactly. With that list, they should be better.
Moving forward to
the poo game.
Yeah, the bottom of the Stellar Dwellers at the moment.
Toilet bowlers.
Hawthorn 2-6 versus North Melbourne 0-8 down there at University of Tasmania Stadium. The Hawks are 38-point losers to West Coast last week. Hawthorn's 2 wins this year. They beat Essendon by a point and Adelaide by 3 points. So they have not dominated any side this year. Tom Mitchell, former Brownlow winner, 41 posies in a losing side. Shout out to him. North still trying to get off a donut after their 3-goal loss to the Pies. Massive blow for them. Jaden Stevenson, big recruit from Collingwood. He's going to miss a month with a fractured wrist. And Aaron Hall, he is absolutely having a resurgence of his career. He had 37 last week. Is anyone brave enough to tip the Roos to get off the donut this week?
I did last week, and I definitely considered it because I'm looking at their schedule, trying to work out
where does it come?
Where does it happen?
Yeah, is there a game that they can win? And then I just hear this deep Macca voice in my head going, "They're going to go. They're not going to win a game the entire season." And I was like, "Yeah, I can see it. I've picked Hawthorn in this. I can see North's not winning a game at all this year at this rate."
I've gone North Melbourne here.
Ooh, okay, there you go.
I think they weren't embarrassed by the Demons 2 weeks ago. They
competitive against Pies.
They were okay against Collingwood last week. I still think they rank outsiders in this one, but Hawthorn have done not much to impress me this week. I think this is where they get off the donut. I've gone North Melbourne.
I definitely considered it, but I'm being a bit safer with my picks.
Macca disagrees. He's gone the Hawks. Monk's odds and tip, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I've gone Hawks as well. They are favourites at $1.38. Melbourne's North is out at $3.06. The line is 17.5, so
probably a bit closer than that. Could be unders.
What's the total match points in that, if you wouldn't mind?
Total match points? 162.5.
280s.
Anyway,
I wouldn't be betting on this game.
we digress. Yeah,
Unless
probably-
you
Let alone watching it.
yeah, that's right. If you're watching it, probably bet on the game, so it's more enjoyable.
North 40 plus. Gold Coast, Brisbane Lions, Battle of the Queensland teams, 3-5 for the Suns, 5-3 for the Lions, 4:30 Saturday afternoon at Metricon Stadium. The Suns, they just ran out of steam last week against the Saints. They need a fucking ruckman. We've spoken about it before. So they had Caleb Graham and Chris Burgess chopping in and chopping out last week against the Saints, who had Paddy Ryder and Rowan Marshall. Those blokes are shorter than one person sitting here. They've got more. They've got more AFL talent, but you need some height. You need someone that can get there and lift the knee. You would think. You know what was the best thing out of that Saints game? There was a melee at halftime, and Dan Butler, who's played a lot for the St Kilda Saints, he ran at San Lemons and got absolutely dropped. It was quite enjoyable to watch. Not condoning off the ball antics by any means, but quite enjoyable to watch. That is for sure.
Gave him the old rock bottom.
And the Brisbane Lions, they've turned their season around. They were 1-3. They've won 4 in a row. 24-point winners against Fremantle last week. Sean, any word on your cousin there, Jared Berry? He's been struggling with that groin.
Nothing on Jared at the moment. I think he's training again. It sounds like he might actually have to play a VFL game first to come back in the squad.
Right.
Because they're a bit tidy in the midfield at the moment with the guys they've got in there. So I think more match fitness, get some match fitness back in the legs before we run you back out there. Of course, with groin injury, they probably maybe want to test him as well to see that it holds up for a full game.
Yeah.
And working back into the squad. So I was going to say, if the Suns need some Italian pasta-looking bloke who's a bit gangly, if they need a ruckman, I know someone. I can get a phone number for him. I know a bloke that may be able to look the part, but maybe get smashed in the process.
Well, it's certainly not me because I struggled to get a kick on the weekend against a very ordinary Gungahlin second grade team.
Yeah.
So
Well, weren't you playing in the forwards this week as well?
yeah, and
Did you kick a goal?
I kicked 1 goal, 3 including a miss from straight in front. So I'll look elsewhere in your recruitment, Stewie Jew. But hey, at Stewie Jew, you want to go to the gym with someone? I'll go with you, brother. You could probably could lose a couple. Sean, surely you're back in.
Yeah, Lions by a lot.
Yeah. I'm not sure about a lot. Gold Coast.
I've got 4 goals.
Yeah, Gold Coast have been okay, but I've gone the Lions here, as has Macca.
Yep, I've gone Lions as well. So they are favourites, $1.30. Gold Coast are $3.57. The line is just short of your, was it 4 goals?
4 goals, yeah.
Yep, it's 20.5.
Yeah. Next game, we've got Richmond taking on GWS, both at 4-4. So
Yeah, 4-4, yeah.
a bit of a surprise in that they're in a similar kind of position.
Yeah, definitely.
Richmond, of course, coming off all that other news we mentioned before, and will be missing some talent. Dusty, of course, back in the squad and is healthy enough. He's playing.
Yeah, he was okay last week, but didn't really look like Dusty.
No, working his way back into it.
Jaden Short, he led the Tigers with 22 disposals, which is not that many, and their tackle efficiencies, the Cats, I think probably Tom Hawkins probably accounted for most of these. 52% tackle efficiency against the Cats, and Tommy Hawkins was just putting the big old don't argue out. So as we spoke about before, Shea Bolton, he is going to miss the game. Did you blokes see his mark?
Oh, I haven't actually. I've heard about this. The mark of the year.
Bring that up, Monkey, because this is absolute head surfing. He had no right to get that kind of leap up and kick the goal here, but it didn't help the Tigers too much. This weekend, they are missing the likes of Dion Pressia, Trent Cotchin, Edwards, Lambert, Solder. I think Flaston's still working back. Like, it's a really undermanned Richmond side. They've got a few guys that have got AFL experience down in the twos in Sydney. Stack, maybe a Charles, Steve Morris. That said, they got pumped by Werribee in the VFL on the weekend. So it'd be interesting to see the side that they come out with on a Thursday night, tomorrow night.
Yep.
Here's one for you. Through 8 rounds, right, in all these years that the Tigers have won the comp, they've never been better than 5-3. So they're 4-4 this year. They've never been better than 5-3, and they have lost. They've won the comp 3 times from starting at that. So unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Giants, they were 2-point winners against the Dons. They're equally as banged up. They got Stephen Cornelio, Phil Davis, Matt DeBoer, Nick Haynes, Braden Pruce all out. I do wonder what happens here.
Yeah, and you list all those guys that are out injured at the moment. And I looked at it and I was just like, can Dusty beat the Giants by himself? I thought, he's coming back. He's not real, maybe not his 100% Dusty. Then I was thinking, does an 80 or 90% Dusty beat them? So I've gone, bit of an upstart, a bit of surprise here. I picked the Giants to win this game.
I like that. Macca went Richmond, and I was umming and ahhing. And I went the Giants too.
Yep.
Look, Richmond's depth is unprecedented, but again, I was talking about in the league with the Dragons taking on the Storm. If there's any weekend to get them,
it's this weekend.
It's this weekend.
Yeah.
So I've gone the Giants out. Not with confidence.
No,
but
I like what I think they're 3 from their last 5, so they've been winning games. Like they're at 500. Both teams are at 500.
Yep.
Winning half of their games. Well, I think maybe this is the one where they just sneak it in there. Or I could be completely wrong.
Monks, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep. So I've backed Richmond as well. So they are favourites, $1.53. Greater West Sydney, Giants are out at $2.52. The line is 11.5. Under 2 goals there.
Close game. I think this will be a close game, but I'm just sliding towards Giants. Who did you pick?
Richmond.
So
Sorry.
Desmond Tutu, the first one for today.
Archbishop of South Africa. Joseph, tune in. Where are we?
I'll switch it. So we get a bit of a closer one. There we go.
22.
So Peps is now paying up his skull bet for the Blues versus the Bulldogs last week. Blues being a bit of a bogey team for the Doggies, but Blues being consistent with their fourth quarter play.
Yes.
Played terrible, and the Doggies ended up winning that game.
I'm happy to scull this one because this was an entertaining game of football. We'll get into the exact details in a second. Joseph, I hope you're well. We do miss your big chrome dome here on the Esky. Happy to neck this one. And, shout out to the Doggies. They're 7-1. Fourth quarter was the difference. So if you wouldn't mind introducing the next game whilst I delete this beer, please, Sean.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next one's probably the game of the round, which is Port Adelaide taking on Western Bulldogs, 8-2 versus 7-1. Port, of course, having won 6-2. I can't read it from here. 6-2. They've won six of their games versus Bulldogs 7. This game, of course, will be in Adelaide. Mm-hmm. Port coming off 49-point winners in the showdown.
Yes.
Against the Crows. Pump the Crows. Crows, of course, I don't want to say didn't seem interested, but all the media reports saying, hey, it's not that important anymore because we always get smashed.
Oh, bullshit.
So they G'd themselves up to get smashed. They did.
Although 90% of the stands was Port fans.
Yes.
The sling tackle from Scott Lycett was, look, he copped 4 weeks. But
so when you say sling, was it across the shoulder, chest region, or is it?
So essentially, you've wrapped someone up well. Mm-hmm. You've done all the early things right, and then
you powerbomb him.
Yeah.
You rotate, you spin around, and using your
momentum.
You rotate it. Centrifugal force is the definition. So again, quantum mechanics and obstruction rules and everything comes to mind there.
I'm surprised they didn't come out and say they have G meters on them and too many Gs and spinning
right.
around too fast. So we say, that's too. Bit too much physics in footy.
The problem is young Ned McHenry hits his head there, and he was concussed as fuck.
Yeah.
So they took that into consideration. Port was also saying there's a David and Goliath kind of matchup. So whereas Scotty Lyson's a big boy and Ned's a small, but anyway, Scotty cops 4 weeks there. Port, their injury list just keeps growing really because Tom Rockcliffe.
Isn't there Ruckman out too as well? Didn't he get suspended?
That's Scott Lycett.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. Ignore me.
Always do. Tom Rockcliffe, he actually got a deep vein thrombosis. He's coming back from bilateral
You get those occasionally.
knee injuries. Yeah, different vein. And Zach Butters, he came out during the week and said he's got some nerve damage to go along with his syndesmosis. So interesting to see what happened.
Does that mean surgery for him?
I think he's already had it, and they found out there's some nerve damage to go with it. So you can, if those nerves.
You got to get him refiring, essentially. Back from Dr. Sean in the end here.
Dr. Sean, Dr. Sean MD.
Yeah, with his bro science.
So essentially, your foot can start to drop. Yeah. So if those,
it's drop foot.
Yeah. So wishing Butters all the best there.
Which probably you don't want as an AFL player.
Oh fuck no, no, you don't want that as a human being. So wishing Zach all the best there with his recovery. Orazio Fantasia. We spoke about him a few weeks ago where someone had him to kick 5 and he kicked 4 goals for. He broke some punters' hearts again. I sent his boys that video and he kicked 1 goal 5 and some punter had him last leg to kick 2 goals.
It's like he knows.
Oh my goodness.
You fucked me, Melody.
Big time.
Getting
to the Bulldogs. It was Jason Johannesson's 150th game. They took care of their bogey Carlton Blues side. Josh Bruce, he kicked 5. He's coming 3rd in the Coleman.
Yeah, I was going to ask, he'd be up there at the moment.
Yeah, Harry Mackay 1, Tex Walker 2, and Josh Bruce 3. The Bond, my goodness, in the clutch. We talk about Dusty and Petrarca. I think he's got to come into that conversation too. That big body midfielder who could just take a game by the scruff of its neck and turn it around. Jack McRae, he's a disposal machine. He had 32. He leads the league in disposals. And shout out, if you're listening, Dave McFadden, the big horse from the Punters Club. The last leg of his multi was the Western Bulldogs to win -15.5. It went right down to the wire. The boys had their hearts in their hands. And Cripper kicked a goal about 30-odd seconds left to go, which made the margin 15 points. And we were all thinking, fuck you, Carlton. Like, you can't win, and you're going to fuck us too. Like, just do one or the other. And the Dogs kicked a handy goal, and he got well into the green on that one. Shout out to you. In terms of this game, it is the game of the round. It's 2nd and 3rd. It's at the Adelaide Oval.
And though they have the injuries and the suspensions, I still picked Port because I thought at Adelaide. I think that's a good one. Macca will, of course, get stuck up into me for picking against the Doggies.
Well, he's gone the dog.
He's staying consistent, of course.
He's gone the Dogs, of course. I've gone Port actually here. I think the only clincher for me is in Adelaide. I think. Yeah. Well, I don't think. Obviously, they're a much better side. Down in South Australia, but yeah,
it's going to be close. It's going to be excellent.
And can't wait to watch this. Cannot wait to watch this game.
Yeah. Monks?
Definitely not. I've got another Desmond. I've backed Macca. We're going Dogs.
Desmond.
So Port are favourites, $1.62. Bulldogs are out at $2.31. Line is 7.5. So going to be a pretty close game. By all means, yeah.
Moving into the Sunday games, the early one is the 2 and 6 Essendon Bombers take on the 4 and 4 Fremantle Dockers up at Marvel Stadium. Down at Marvel Stadium, I should say. Mm-hmm. The Dons, they've suffered a heartbreaking 2-point loss against the Giants last week, and that's their 3rd game that they've lost by less than 3 points. Hawks and Swans also. That's like a kick away between a different season. Jake Stringer, he suffered a hammy injury. He'll be done for a few weeks. And Zach Merritt just keeps playing lights out. Darcy Parish keeps playing lights out. Freo, on the other hand, they were 4-goal losers to the Brisbane Lions last week. The ageless Dave Mundy, we keep talking about him. He's 35. He had 27 last week and a goal. That's right on about his average as a 35-year-old. Unbelievable footy from him. What have we done here?
I think the Bombers are favourites in this one, are they, Monkey?
I think it'd be flip of a coin.
Yeah. Fremantle, of course, have beaten the bottom sides. That's why they're in the 4-4 position where they are at the moment. And I was kind of looking at it and thinking, do I pick Fremantle as the upset? I've gone Essendon. I think Essendon maybe they played better footy of recent days or recent weeks, sorry. So that's why I've picked them. But it wouldn't surprise me if Fremantle wins this. I think it's a coin flip this game.
Well, it's interesting you said that because Joseph's gone Fremantle and I've gone Fremantle too here. The big question...
Monksy stayed strong down the end.
The big question is obviously it's in Melbourne. I think if this is in the West, it's a completely different story.
Yeah,
different story, yeah. Yeah, I've gone the Dons.
Desmond took plenty of
Another one.
Desmonds this week.
Yes.
Well, in the AFL, definitely, not in the NRL.
Yeah.
NRL's a little bit one-sided at the moment.
Yes.
So Essendon are favourites, $1.68. It is a closer head-to-head. So Fremantle are out at $2.19. Line is 5.5, so only goal in it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game of footy. Records maybe don't tell the story, but it'll be a close game of footy. It's two of those bottom middle tier teams.
Yeah. Probably don't see either of those teams making the 8.
No.
Moving forward, 3:20 Sunday afternoon at the G, the 8-0 Melbourne Demons take on the 3-5 Carlton Blues.
You do have a lot of notes there for Carlton Blues.
Yeah, I want to have a brief discussion.
30 seconds.
Well, can I start with Melbourne?
Yeah, go. I'm kidding.
Melbourne, 9-point winners. A lot closer than a lot of people were thinking in Jake Lever's 100th there against the Swans. James Jordan, he's a 20-year-old out of the Yarrawonga Pigeons. He had 23 and 8 tackles. He was the NAB Rising Stars for the week. The D's fans, are they starting to buy her up? Are they starting to go, oh my goodness, this could be the year. No flags since 1964. My old man was born.
1964.
My old man was born in 1964. Shout out to Mike. I'm sure you're not listening. So that is a long fucking time. That is a long time. I did read today that out of the 8 most recent teams that have started 8-0, 6 have made the GF, and 3 have won it.
Yeah.
So
It's one thing to get there, it's another thing to win it.
Indeed. But you're starting to believe.
Yeah.
You're starting to believe.
You can't look it up. I probably won't. I was going to ask the question of are the D's the longest club without a flag?
Well, so there's recent teams that have never won one, right? So GWS, Gold Coast, Fremantle,
they're blown out by D's.
They don't count.
Swans have won one, so that does their history. Norths?
No, North won in the 90s.
Yep.
St Kilda have never won. St Kilda have never won one.
So
in terms of longest,
the D's are the longest, 56 seasons. St Kilda's second at 54. Fitzroy
Must be looking at an old list because 64 is that's 36. No, that's right. Keep going.
Yep.
Ignore my math. Quick math.
have St Kilda won one then?
So they've appeared in the grand finals in 1971, 1997, 2009, 2010.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, did they win any of those games?
Yeah. I was hoping that would jog someone's memory.
Maybe they won one of those series games.
To preface this, my laptop has just blue screened.
Yeah, we're working off the dome and there's not much going in there.
Yes.
No.
Not much goes in and not much stays. It
That's
goes in
right.
one and out the other.
As for mine, a lot goes in and not much stays.
So they won St Kilda won a premiership in 1966.
Okay, there you go.
So, make the D's the longest one.
Yeah. So Fitzroy obviously, now Western Bulldogs, 52 seasons.
No, that's Footscray.
Sorry, Footscray, sorry.
And they
Yes,
won,
no,
they won
you're
a
right,
couple of
sorry,
years ago. So
And Norths haven't won in 51 seasons.
Yeah, so these will be the longest suffering AFL club. There you go.
Yeah.
North.
Yeah.
They won one in the 90s
Let's
with Wayne Carey.
Did they?
Pretty fucking sure. But
Actually, I don't know where this list is coming from. Maybe that's in the VFL then.
Your list is fucked.
No, the list was AFL VFL. So
okay.
they did win one in They won 1996, 1999, and then 1975 and 1977.
They've won some, so there we go.
They have.
All right. Back to this game. Have you finished your Carlton notes? Or did I interrupt you with at the D's point? I think you got to do some Carlton notes. How about the Blues travelling, Peppy?
oh well, they blew a fourth quarter lead. Water's wet. Jeez, I don't know. You're right. I don't know. They got caught out being lazy defensively a few times. Bright sparks was the return of Eddie Betts. He booted 5. He had 3 against Bombers the week before, only 2 in the 4 games before that.
I heard the fans were getting stuck into Eddie Betts.
I don't know
Too
why.
old?
No, well, he's not from what he did on the weekend. Harry Mackay, he had 4 goals. He leads Coleman with 30. Look, a lot of the speculation around Carlton is why can't they close out games? They've been competitive. They've been competitive against the Tigers, against the Pies, against the Lions and the Dogs, but they haven't won any of those games. So I suppose that's where people
So what you're saying is
want to hammer them.
they're going to be competitive in this game, but lose in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, probably. Well, Melbourne's ain't no. Carlton's got no right to beat them.
Yeah.
No right to beat
Not in
them.
this point of the season where they're 3-5.
No.
I've backed Melbourne, of course. Have you stayed true, Peppy, or have you backed the D's?
No,
You Judas again?
No, I'm a Judas. Yeah. See you, Jesus. Yeah, double kiss. The crow. I think there's something about a crow or something. I don't know. Yeah. It might be a rooster. Anyways, call me Judas because I've tipped the Melbourne Demons.
Bombers.
Yep.
Sorry, not Bombers. D's. D's for you too.
Yeah, go on D's.
Monkey, and I'm assuming Macca has done the same. What are
Yep.
the odds?
Yep. So
They should be short, I'm thinking.
yeah, so D's are favourites $1.28. Carlton out at $3.70. Lions 22.5.
Fair enough. What do we got next? Last game?
Last game of the round, West Coast take on Adelaide. 4:40 Sunday afternoon out there at Optus Stadium.
In the West.
That's the main thing.
That's all you need to know. In the West. West Coast going to win.
I'd say so.
They're playing against the Crows, who stink at the moment. So they've lost 5 straight? I think so, yeah. They started off 3-0, and then I think they've lost 5 straight.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brennan Archie, he had a come-out game for the Eagles. He won. He kicked 4 goals. 38 disposals for Andrew Gaff, 35 for Dom Sheed. Those blokes are very consistent. The Crows, 49-point losers in the showdown. I don't think they were embarrassed, but also not the best result. Lockie Murphy, poor bloke, you hate to see him, absolutely shattered his syndesmosis going back into contest against Aliir. He'll be done for 8 to 10 weeks. And Rory Sloan, he's back from his detached retina. But yeah, the Crows go into this as rank outsiders. And
Crows stink.
Yeah.
West Coast are a better squad, and they're playing in Perth at the Optus Stadium. They're going to win. I think I've backed West Coast, so I'm assuming everyone else has done the same.
Yep.
Give us some odds, Muggy.
Not that we really need them, but yeah, West Coast are our favourites at $1.10. Adelaide
very
Crows
short.
are out at $7. Lions 37.5. I don't think there's too much more to be said about that.
I'm taking that line. That's what I'm saying about
You reckon?
it. Yeah.
Was it 37.5?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they could put 40 on them easy.
They murder them, I think, over there.
So the next sport we wanted to tackle and have a chat about is about the NBA. We'll cover some quick notes, and then we want to talk about the play-in tournaments. But the first notes we want to tackle, I think congratulations to Russell Westbrook is in order. He is now the all-time leader of triple-doubles fake stat that Macca likes to refer to, but he's the sole owner outright of the most in NBA history.
182, that is. Breaks a 47-year-old record from Oscar Robertson, old Milwaukee Bucks and Cincinnati Royals when they were back in the NBA. And the numbers that he puts up, like, they're not just like little triple doubles, you know. The one that he got to break it was the 36th one of the season, mind you. So that's probably a record in itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, no, maybe the year that he won the MVP.
He averaged a triple double in the year he won the MVP.
But it'd be up there.
But like in 5 years, he's got that number. Like it's crazy how
ridiculous.
quickly
He
he's
puts
got
up
to that number.
28 points, 13 boards, 21 dimes. It's madness that the Wizards aren't doing better than they are. They will, however, sneak into the play-in tournament. They're going to finish 10th. The Bulls, you'd say, are done. The Celtics should finish 7th in the East. And then you've got a mix of the Hornets, Pacers, and Wizards in between.
Yes, from what I heard this today, I think the Hornets have clinched. They are in the playoffs, which is excellent for them. Young LaMelo Ball leading them around.
Playoffs or play-in?
One of the two. I think
Play-in.
Play-in,
They're sitting at 8th. At the moment.
I think they've clinched a spot in the play-in. So they'll finish in that 7 to 10 range.
Right.
Yep.
And then 4, 5, 6 come on and get your kicks in the East. It's pretty much tied between the Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks, and the New York Knicks. So who knows what happens there?
Yeah, so the Heat have clinched today. They're in 4th. So their win today means they clinch a playoff position. So Hawks, Knicks, and Celtics are in 5, 6, and 7 at the moment, with Hornets in 8. And I've got Pacers in 9 and Wizards in 10 at the moment. So Wizards still in contention for that play-in tournament, and they've been playing unreal in the last month.
Yeah, they sure have.
Well, they're 6 and 4 in their last 10. There you go.
And then over in the West, it is so up in the air. Like anything can happen, really. There's still a few teams vying for that play-in. There's teams duking it out for the seeds. It's unbelievable what's going on over there. The thing that really surprised me, according to our good friends at Sportsbet, unofficial sponsors, the Lakers are still the most backed team to take out the West and to go and challenge possibly the Brooklyn Nets in the
they're
finals.
a different team when healthy. You see them with AD back, like they're playing dominant basketball again.
For sure. But
there's Jazz and the Suns 1 or 2 at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. The Jazz, Suns, the Nugs, like can't rule them out. The Clippers, there's a lot going on.
So
Sure.
quick explanation. How does the play-in tournament work? Do we work it out? So it was...
So 7th and 8th play for that 7th seed.
So at the moment, that'd be Lakers versus Warriors,
Yep.
which would be an unreal game.
It would be.
Bloody oath.
And then 9th, so the winner of that becomes a 7th seed. Then 9th and 10th place, so in Western that'd be Memphis and San Antonio.
Yep.
The
Spurs,
loser
Grizzlies.
of that out. And then
Thank you kindly.
the 8th seed, and then whoever's the winner of that 9th, 10th seed would then play for that 8th seed spot.
Yeah, to make it in as number 8.
Yep.
So Grizzlies or Spurs could sneak past, say the Warriors or Lakers.
Yeah.
Which would be
Well,
crazy.
that's it. Like, the Spurs could quite easily come in as the 8th seed and Lakers are out.
Yeah. I can see why it's pretty close there, so I can see why they've kept this from last year. But having said that, no, Lakers at 39, and Spurs are at 33 wins. So there's a six game win difference at the moment between 7 and 10. So you'd be a bit disappointed if you're Lakers and you lose 2 games and you're out.
Yeah, but
and then someone like the Spurs get sneaks in.
That's why LeBron was upset about it.
Yeah, but it also adds a little bit of intrigue there is that, let's call them the last 2 wild card spots where they can sneak in. A team like the Spurs gets red hot, can sneak in there, and then, we always talk about playoffs. Playoffs is all about you're 0-0. You start fresh.
That's right.
You get in there, and then it's a different game to then have to win again and keep going. So you need to find your form and find your rhythm. Just jump over sports. I saw Pittsburgh Steelers, for example. They went 11-0, and then they went 1-5 in their last games, and then flamed out in the playoffs.
Horrible.
Yeah. So it's about getting your run right, getting the form healthy, Exactly. So, Lakers have been banged up. If they can get healthy, they can make a run, and they will challenge the top teams, of course. That's why they're favourites by the sports books. But there's also they might be a bit underdone, and then they get smashed in one of those playoffs. But it's an interesting kind of run into the tournament. That's kind of where the league is at the moment. No one's talking enough about the Jazzes and Suns at the moment. They've been really, really good. 76ers are quietly no Embiid, Ben Simmons, back and forth about who runs the club, etc. Who's the face of the franchise. They've just been quietly going about work.
Yeah, they're going to get the number 1 seed. And
they're 47 from 22 at the moment.
Everyone's just assuming that the Nets do it, but there's just fucking no reason they can't.
Well, Harden's been out.
Or the Bucks.
Harden's been out for 4 weeks, I think, with a hammy, and he should be back soon. Kyle Irving copped an elbow today. Kyrie Irving copped an elbow today. So I think he'd be all right, but a bit of a loose elbow. But yeah, those 76ers, and no one's talking about them. No one's talking about the top 3 teams at the moment. Everyone's talking about the big name players, Warriors, Lakers, etc. That have maybe a bit unders at the moment, but they've got the big names and they haven't snuck into that spot. Well, Nets, of course, because they've got the super team. So it'll be interesting to see how they finish up and then how that runs into the playoffs to finish up the season.
Moving over to the NFL, this was interesting. So I can't remember it ever happening. An NFL player.
There's one other.
So let me say what happened, and you let me know the one other. So DK Metcalf, he said, "Yep, I'm going to try and qualify for the Olympics." He's very, very fast. Thoughts of him chasing down Buddha Baker on that intercept come to mind. Yep. And he went out in the Olympic qualifiers and ran a 10.37 snail pace. No, I'm joking. That is so fucking fast for a guy that is his size. He has not done himself a disservice by any means. The fact that he's even able to go and compete against those guys. He came last in his heat. All right, sure. But he would have had 30, 40 pounds on a lot of those guys. And, yeah, good luck to any of them if they wanted to catch one against in the middle against an NFL safety.
Well, he easily had 30 pounds on all those blokes. Like they're all, 6 foot, around the 200 pounds, lean, really fast blokes. And then you've got this 6'3", 240 monster outside them. Just motoring along. Like a 10.3 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a huge.
That's so fast.
That's so fast.
Yeah. Did you find the bloke that also has done it?
Herschel Walker.
Yeah,
so Herschel Walker, I think he ran a 10.09, something. I'm trying to find what he actually ran. He went to the Winter Olympics as part of the bobsled team. He's been a mixed martial artist fighter. Herschel Walker is absolutely dominant running back in the day.
10.09.
Yeah, I think he ran in the Olympic trials, an Olympic team. I'm just trying to find whether I can find his Olympic athlete. It says he was listed in Olympic athletes and went to an Olympics. It's just whether he, what did he go? Oh, well, he went for, as I said, the Winter Olympics as bobsled, but I think he ran really, really quick. But I just can't find that number, of course.
That's all right.
Oh, here you go. He also competed as a track athlete at Georgia, running at 100 meters in 10.22.
Wow. Desmond Tutu.
Yeah, Desmond Tutu. Yeah, what? and he was 6. Well, let me see if I got some size. What's 185 quickly in foots and inches? 6 and a bit.
6'1", and he was 225 pounds.
Yeah. So again, another massive human being. He's a running back.
6'1",
102 kilos.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a 5th round pick for Oakland, and he absolutely dominated. So there's the only other one, and it was really interesting to see. They asked DK, like, why'd you do this? And he's just like, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, it's just like, because I can. Like, I want to challenge myself and prove myself. There is, it shows levels. There's levels to speed. There's NFL speed and there's track speed. But track speed doesn't contribute to football speed. It's a different thing, I think. But it's really interesting to see him challenge himself. And like, he didn't embarrass himself. He didn't run like 11 and get smoked.
No.
He finished 9th in his heat. He beat a couple guys. It was, between the guys that ran 10.10 and him that were 37, that's like one stride difference. Like it's minuscule, the difference in it. And you got to remember that he's 3 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier than any other bloke there. An absolute rig.
Did not do himself a disservice.
No, didn't do him a disservice. Showed the difference in kind of NFL versus track speed, but really showed what capable the athletes are capable. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's some other guys out there that can run faster and quicker than DK. And maybe he can challenge it. But he wanted to do it. He wanted to try it. He'd only trained for 3 months, like sprinting leading into this to try out for an Olympic trial. It would have been an unreal story if he'd qualified and made it into an Olympic team to do this. But it's just an interesting overall story.
Speaking of unreal stories, if Tim Tebow makes this Jacksonville Jaguars 53, that'd be very interesting. He signed a 1-year deal to play tight end with the Jags.
Yeah, I think alluded to it after the draft. It's now official. He has signed with them. They have nothing really at tight end, so it would not surprise me if he makes the 53. That's going to be his challenge.
Do you reckon he does?
He's 33. I think they'd find a use for him because whether it's
jerseys,
it's whether it's
not wrong.
Like, am I?
But there's also some of the chat that it's really smart because then everyone will focus on Tim Tebow and not talking about Trevor Lawrence, how he's doing, how Urban Meyer is as a coach. That'll be the focus.
Does that bring too much news into the locker room though?
Yeah, but they're all talking to him and he's a media presence and then the other blokes can go about their work, maybe. He'll probably get some goal line work. He can probably play special teams for them.
Is he setting him up as a 4 guy?
Not a 4 guy, but as a guy that can, as in be more of a face. So you take some of the heat, but he's a backup tight end. But just a news story that they can focus in the media versus attacking Trevor Lawrence for everything he does throughout. At training camp, they're going to track Tim Tebow and be like, oh, he caught this pass, he ran this route. Instead of talking about Trevor Lawrence and all the balls he's sailing or the routes he's missed.
Yeah,
so maybe
I hadn't thought of it like that.
Maybe that's some of the thing. I think Urban Meyer just wants to give Tim Tebow a second chance, of course, being previous connections and coaches. So
to take it a step back, Urban Meyer coached him back at Florida in the day. So, there's that connection there.
The only thing that Tim Tebow needs to do is he needs to do his rookie hazing and give the Friar Tuck haircut to Trevor Lawrence.
Shout out to Friar Tuck if you're listening.
Don't know how well that would go down.
No. I can't imagine Trevor Lawrence with a short haircut. You can't destroy those golden locks.
Eric Fisher, the left tackle from the Kansas City Chiefs, has signed with the Indianapolis Colts.
I think this is pending a physical, but I think they're going to probably take him anyway.
And then with Mitchell Schwartz, he's gone. The Chief O-line, we saw what happened to them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Does this leave a gaping hole there in Kansas City?
Yeah, well, they've tried very hard to fill these holes. So I can't remember off the top of my head who's now their left tackle. They've signed a whole bunch of blokes. They signed the guard in the centre, the guard from the Patriots. I can't remember where the centre's from. So they've invested in the line. I think they've gone younger and gotten rid of the old talent.
Right.
That's probably the way to talk this. Good get for the Colts. They needed a left tackle after Anthony Costanzo had just retired because they were worried they'd have to play Nelson at left tackle, and you've got a Hall of Fame guard there. Let's not move
in the making. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers in the circus?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much. Already shouted him a beer. The news changes every day. Last week it was like, nah, he's gone. And then today they come out and they're like, the Packers, they've offered him a massive deal, a long-term
extension,
contract extension.
Rivaling Mahomes.
Is what we're hearing. So we'd probably have to double his salary to do that.
Which then cripples the team, so he's not getting what he wants in the end, which is to compete.
So, who knows? It's day by day. You know what this is? This is clickbaity fucking...
Yeah. I think the date is league year, which I think is June 12th, because that's when his dead cap changes. So if they get traded now, Packers have a huge dead cap. I think they can do a post-June 20 trade.
Right.
But that's kind of... they probably won't do anything till that point, because after it, then it's definitely counted less dead cap because he's on next league's years versus the current one. So, the money works out better contract-wise, but we'll have to see how that all plays out. Not a huge amount of NFL news this week. Come off the draft, it'll be pretty quiet until that training camp, which is June-ish. But I think the Aaron Rodgers circus is probably going to be the main thing, and whether
any player movements, but
whether Deshaun Watson's thing sorts itself out. We alluded to the settlement talk, and I think there's going to be the lawsuit. Yeah, whether that happens after June. I did raise a scenario because the Raiders are really keen on Rodgers.
Do you think that happens?
Possibly. Like Denver and Raiders are keen on Rodgers. Denver's also keen on Deshaun Watson. But imagine if it all aligns, Rodgers goes to Raiders, Deshaun Watson goes to Denver, then you've got Patty Mahomes at Chiefs, and then you're Justin Herbert at the Chargers going, well, what the fuck? Why did you put three of the top 5 quarterbacks in my fucking division?
If you're Aaron Rodgers, right, so he's 37 years old, do you go to the Las Vegas Raiders? Are you going to win? Are you going to win anything there?
What's interesting, he doesn't have the no trade clause in his contract, so the Packers could send him anywhere. He's just got the I'll retire clause and go do Jeopardy in my contract. As in, like, I've got money, I've got fuck you money, and I can go wherever I want. I'll fuck off. So if he's not happy with going to the Raiders, he might be like, well, I don't want to go there. Gruden, of course, loves him and wants him there. Whether they do that or not, who knows? They're going to trade the farm for him, and their team's not really set up at the moment to compete. They're not a super young team where you could say trade away the future and then hope for the best going forward. But who knows?
I've got a Jeopardy joke for you.
Go for it. This better be good, baby.
Oh, it'll be good. I'm a highly talented wide receiver. Oh, yeah. Who the Packers should have drafted?
Here's a list from the last 10 years.
That's how it works, isn't it?
That is
we
how it
obviously
works,
don't have Jeopardy down here in Australia.
Well, how do they say it? Who is Jordan Love?
No. The question would be, I am the quarterback drafted to really piss off 12 and get him out of a franchise that probably should have won 4 or 5 Super Bowls. I am Jordan Love. I think that's how it works.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yes. That's the NFL for this week. Small notes.
Jeopardy host right here.
Yeah. The rest of the news we've got is really kind of small notes. It's just the things happening in sports. Cricket has, I don't want to say fallen off a cliff, but it kind of has with the IPL being postponed.
Yeah, look, and there's bigger things than cricket.
Back burner.
Yeah, we alluded to this last week. The COVID situation over there is horrible and
not getting better. It's
no.
We're speculating that it's getting worse, but on the reports that we get on this side of the planet, it hasn't gotten any better.
No,
and there's not great scenes or pictures coming out of the country.
No, not at all. It was nice to see the Aussie cricketers. They sort of banded together with a video. I think UNICEF is who they were kind of representing, saying, "Look, just if you can dig deep into your pockets to try and help out over there." I think they handled it a little bit better than Slash did last week with the old blood on the hands situation, but. I think the pressing question is the T20 World Cup.
Before we get to the World Cup, there was some chat coming out of England that they could possibly, I think Lords and I can't remember the other two grounds were said, hey, to bring all the players over here, we'll finish the IPL in England.
Yep.
So there was that kind of thought because we talked about they thought about moving the whole league to Mumbai and then it didn't happen. There is, of course, a shitload of money involved in the IPL.
Yeah, and I think they're down to single-digit cases of COVID in England.
Oh, in England, yes.
Yeah.
In England, yes.
They're doing
they're doing much better than they were a couple of months ago.
Where they were a few months ago.
Yeah.
So that's 100%.
a shout. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've put their hand up and say, hey, if you want to, we've got cricket grounds. They're not currently being used. India are meant to come here and play that game against New Zealand in a couple of months. Why don't we finish the IPL over here?
Yeah,
of course, you then have to move the entire league, which is 10 teams, which is, let's say 30 blokes, eight teams with 30 odd blokes with the players and coaching staffs and support staffs, maybe. So I was trying to work round numbers. Say 300 people have to go. You can probably pull that off. It's just whether they want to do that. Time zones, they're probably 10 hours different to India. So maybe that doesn't help them
they're
out.
about 10 from us. Yeah, maybe 8 from India.
Yeah, so
I don't think that would matter too much, though.
Nah.
well, they want to televise the games in India though, so you'd have to probably play them in the morning, so the televised prime time, night time. So it's it doesn't impact the game. I'm just talking TV rights, and they want the millions to billions of Indian fans watching the games because the monies. But at the moment, it sounds like it's purely on hold. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But as Pepe alluded to, what's going to happen with the World Cup? Because the World Cup, T20 World Cup, is in India.
Yeah, scheduled for October.
October.
So the way things are going, you wouldn't expect it. Expect it to happen in October.
Well, we were talking last week about if you look at the schedule, if they miss, I think they'll miss this whole month. If they're then into June, try and re-kick this series, they've got that game where the Indian Test squad has to disappear. So you lose all those big name guys. They got to go play against New Zealand. If they do that, that's the other point. Whether they send the India A team over there to do that, but then they've got the England tour, which when's that start? Off the top of your dome. Is that October as well? No, it's got to be before the T20 World Cup, I would have thought. Monks, just have a quick look. So, but the idea is that I think that happens beforehand. So you've got that tour.
Yeah, I think it's like July.
Yeah, so you've got that tour. That July tour happens. So if they try to restart the IPL in say July, August, then it runs for a couple. It's got another 30 games to play. Maybe they cut it down. That's the other option. But maybe there's another 2 months to play. So you finish the IPL and then roll almost straight into the World Cup, or you might have a slight overlap there on starting times. So my whole point being that the more days that pass, less likely the IPL will restart purely because of the cricket calendar.
Yep. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Did you get an answer for when the the India tour of England test is?
Not just yet.
Yeah. But it's a huge out for IPL. And it goes back to my point last week where, Delhi Capitals default champion winners at the moment. They got 29 games of the 60 they were going to play for the regular season before finals. Let me have a quick look and see if I can find...
August, September.
Yeah, August, September. So, it's right before the World Cup would happen. And then, of course, the Ashes happens after that for us at the end of the year. I can't see it needs to restart. I think they plan to restart it next week, and I can't see that happening.
Really?
Yeah, it was second last week of May, I thought, which ends up being next week.
Yeah, I can't
see that happening. I think I thought 18th from memory was the date, which ends up being, I think, Thursday next week. No, that's not right. Poor quick maths here on the Esky. But yeah, I think they'll probably push it out to like the 23rd. I don't think it happens in May. I don't think it happens in June. Then June overlaps with that tour, that championship game against New Zealand. Then if it doesn't happen maybe it starts in late June, but then you got the guys disappearing for the tour against England, and you probably want that free spot in late June, August for that. Do they push it? I don't think they push it out. Maybe they overlap in that point and they get it done then, but then you just miss out on all your premium Indian players. So then that IPL product's probably down because you don't have your international stars. You don't have your top 20 Indian test players playing in the IPL. I don't want to be the pessimist here, but I'm not super convinced they'll finish it off. They might just put it in the books and just say asterisks.
Yeah.
Didn't get completed. Which, would that be the first sport in the whole COVID era that actually didn't come back and finish the season? So I think everything else successfully came back and had champions.
What level are you going to?
Yeah.
Pro levels, like all the pro sports.
Oh, I'm sure it's happened somewhere.
All the American sports made it through their seasons
That's what I thought.
year.
All the Australian ones did as well.
Yeah.
I don't think any. I think all the major soccer ones, had a champion declared. All the motorsports happened. Yeah, which would be sad, but Just
if I had
another
a working laptop, I might be able to find that out.
just
but-
another random stat to throw out there.
Speaking of motorsports, I think maybe you roll into the F1.
There's a Pakistani Zimbabwe game happening, but that's Pakistani Test cricket hasn't been great, and then Zimbabwe hasn't been any better. So F1, there was an F1 race on the weekend. Lewis Hamilton wins again. Water is wet. He's the first person to get 100 poles. So whole 100 pole positions, not the other poles.
So that's first on the grid.
Yes,
in the
qualified
race,
first
main
for the race.
Yeah.
I think Schumacher was the next closest with 68, and then all the other blokes. There's a few in 50s, and then down on it. There's, as a comparison, there's some F1 teams, of course, that don't have any in like the history of the sport close to that amount of first positions. So very impressive. He starts one, and then of course the race happened. Monks, what were your thoughts on the race?
I caught bits of it. For me it was pretty stock standard race. Wasn't too much.
Yeah,
involved.
it was. Well, they were Spain, weren't they?
In Spain.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was not a track that lends itself very well to overtakes.
No, there were some pit strategies and that played.
So
in
pit
Hamilton's
strategy was
favour
probably
at
the
end.
main thing. So to start it off, Max has a really good start and takes him over. So Max from 2 and is first to start the race after a couple of corners, they hold that position for quite a while. They do their first pit stops. They all go in at the same time. They all come out in order. Then there was talk about maybe this is a one-stop race, depending on how far you'd go. I think it ended up everyone did 2 stops in the race, just purely because they were using up the mediums quicker than they thought they'd be. But Mercedes, they were lucky. They had Bottas in 3 and Hamilton was in 2. Bottas kind of built another big enough gap between him and 4. Like there was a big enough gap from 4, and you had Bottas there that they worked it out and said we could beat Hamilton, get him out behind Bottas. We can get Bottas to move out of the way because he's our teammate. He'll be ahead of 4, and then we can put him on new rubber, and he can hunt down Max. And Max would have to do 40 plus laps on his mediums.
Yeah, so I think to that as well. So as soon as Bottas pitted, Red Bull was essentially, look, we're not going to win the race. Let's try and get the fastest lap. So that's why. So I think Verstappen was going to be on that one pit stop strategy.
Yeah. So
but then as soon as Bottas came in, they're like, all right, let's get Verstappen on fresh tyres. He's still going to come second anyway.
Yeah. So Hamilton by that point had taken him over. So Hamilton had gone in. We're talking about lap 30 or 40. He'd made his second pit stop of a 66 lap race. They gave him 20 plus laps to then catch Max, and he did it, I think, within 10 to 15. So he had laps left over where he's just caught up to Max. He's taken him over. Max had no tyres left. So Max, of course, at that point was just like, well, we've got heaps of room between us and Bottas. Let's pit and try to get the fastest lap.
Yeah, which he did.
Did Max get the fastest lap?
Yep.
I thought he had his...
He got a fast lap at 118.149.
I thought he had done for track limits and then someone else got it.
No, that was the week before.
That was the week before.
Portugal,
Okay.
sorry.
So that was Portugal. Yeah. So he did get the fastest lap in this one. Bottas was the other option. Bottas, they'd pitted it as well to try and get him the fastest lap, which then let Max come out and get the fastest, his attempt at it. So Max did get that in the end. So it was really, the race ended up being more about pit strategy than about the overtakes on the course, because it was very hard to overtake, even with the DRS, and the straight probably wasn't. The DRS zone in the straight didn't give them enough. They could get enough, close enough, but not enough in a position to take over unless they were right on their back, like rear wheels coming out of the last corner, which is very hard to do, of course, to stick that close to an F1 car.
Yeah.
There was some movement in the middle of the field. It was actually a really good race from our boy Danny Rick. He started 7th, finished 6th.
Yep.
In both qualified and finished ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, which is a complete change of fortunes from last week's race. So starting
very
to get
promising for him. Yeah,
starting to get that car going, because we need a third competitor essentially to the other 2 teams, and whether that's going to be McLaren or Ferrari.
Been okay.
Yeah, well, Leclerc's been good.
He has.
He finished 4th, I think, in this race from memory. So
yes.
yeah, so he he and the Ferrari's been good. I don't think Science has been
similar sort of filling out process as
Newcastle.
Ricardo with McLaren. Yep.
Yeah. But what was really interesting was Hamilton wins his 6th Spanish Grand Prix. This is his 5th in a row. There's only one other bloke that's won 5 Grand Prix in a row, and that's Ayrton Senna, the legendary Senna. And it's quite interesting. I saw a whole bunch of stuff in the meeting. It's like you're watching an absolute goat going around at the moment. Like, I think a chat at some point we need to do is have a talk about GOAT status in sports, and like who's got GOAT status. But Lewis Hamilton as a competitor, like you look at his numbers, it's Jerry Rice kind of like his numbers they're just so far ahead of everyone else that's ever done this. So it's quite amazing, and he just keeps adding to it. And if he wins his 8th title this year, he will take the lead as the most World Championship winners. But then you look at like how many poles he's got compared to Michael Schumacher, who he's now equal with. It's
ridiculous.
It's not double, but it's 40% more. Like it's a lot. It's a lot.
So hard to tell, but I mean, we always chat about how any driver can get into a Mercedes car and race well. How would Hamilton go if he was to change teams? If he was to go to, I mean, in a Red Bull, it'd be very competitive. If he was to go to McLaren,
so I'd say one thing, like
McLaren.
If another driver came in a Mercedes, they'd do well. Would they win? So I think that
George Russell gave it a good run.
Yeah, he didn't win though.
Driver.
He didn't win though. So that's my point. Like
pit strategies though.
I'd say, but there's a whole winner mentality to.
There is.
You look at sports across the world and winner mentality to get that GOAT status I just mentioned before. You need that mentality, and you can tell Lewis Hamilton.
He's definitely got that mentality.
Yeah, would he be as good as in another car?
Because it's such a technical sport as well, though. Like, there's such a huge gap between Mercedes and Red Bull, and Red Bull and McLaren.
Well, those two teams are ahead of the others, and then you've got Ferrari hopefully joining them, McLaren on their tail. They're the top 4, and then you start talking about the other teams, like you work your way down the list. If you took him and then put him in Mazepin's car, probably he's going to struggle. It wouldn't surprise me if he takes Mazepin's car, who's finishing last, and finishes in top 10. Like,
True. I suppose it's all relative.
Yeah, you look at what Alonso's doing. He's taking an Alpine. Is he Alpine?
Yep.
Yeah, Alpine car, which a Renault car that was doing okay. Like Danny Rick was doing all right in that. Ocon was doing okay in it, but now he's taken that up and it's in a top 10 position. So, a guy that's got talent. So,
he did come 17th at Spain.
But not a great turnaround for him. But
I do get what you mean.
It goes hand in hand, definitely. But I think Hamilton's probably a different beast. It would not surprise me if he went to Ferrari or something, and then he'd still be dominant. Which is because the comparison's probably Seb Vettel. 4 championships with Red Bull, went to Ferrari. Ferrari were in a shit show, so they couldn't put the back office, let's call it back office, together to put him in a position where they could actually then go and win races. Yeah, true. So he still was competitive. Like he was challenging Hamilton in a lot of races in the Ferrari, not the last couple of seasons, but when he was there early. So he was doing some stuff there, and of course I think he just fell out of love with it. Sick of Ferrari, so that's why he left them and gone to Aston Martin. Yes. Yeah. So it goes both ways. You talk Tom Brady. If you took Tom Brady and put him in the Jets. Do they win the Super Bowl? Maybe not, but they're probably a playoff team. Let's put it that way.
I suppose. Yeah, that's it. I suppose it's all relative. Yeah.
So the next race is actually probably the biggest race on the F1 calendar, 23rd of May, which is 2 weeks away, is in Monaco. A race that Danny Rick really likes, so I'm actually looking forward to that. I love that circuit. That's an excellent racing circuit in Monaco for the 1%ers to go out and watch.
Well, I mean, it is, but then you usually get whoever makes pole wins that race. Being a street circuit as it is. Yeah,
unless there's something,
it's hard.
Unless someone puts it in the wall. It's not a great overtaking position. No. Not position. Course. It's probably the better way to speak it. There is some points, especially coming out of the tunnel down into the hairpin there. That's usually the only spot. But it's one of those street circuits where probably crashes and pit strategy play a very important part in it. But it's a classic race. Danny Rick, of course, winning there in the past. I'd really look forward to Monaco because it's a sexy looking course.
So moving on into MMA and boxing.
Yep.
So over the weekend we had Canelo in a boxing match win.
Again,
yeah. What's his record now?
One loss, and that's only to Floyd Mayweather. So
Wow.
Money Mayweather, which I've shout out Rogan and Chappelle and listen to some Rogan and Chappelle. They've been talking about they love boxing, talking about Canelo and how he learnt so much losing to Floyd, like improved his game to the point where he slips, he dodges, he moves so much better, doesn't get hit as much, and if you blokes, we can't bring it up, but if you haven't seen the uppercut he lands on Sanders, it was huge. Yeah. They threw in the towel after that in the eighth round, a technical knockout.
They fractured his eye socket again.
Yeah.
We were talking about,
Like really messed up his eye socket, and you couldn't see out of the eye. But huge, like you can see the power he's got.
One punch,
He's probably the biggest name and the biggest boxer at the moment.
Yep.
In the sport, outside of the heavyweights, like he's the most well-known guy out of those two. Well, three. Let's say the three heavyweights that are rocking around at the moment. But he's pound for pound, I think, number one at this stage, and just completely dominated.
Yeah.
What was interesting about this match was it was at Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah, 73,000 in
people.
attendance.
Yeah.
So
Big crowd.
Smashed anything that's been
Biggest event in America
by
since
a long way.
COVID era.
We saw UFC 261 there in Jacksonville, which was about 18,000.
A couple of weeks ago.
And I think before that, maybe the Super Bowl probably had 20,000 socially distanced.
Mm-hmm. So a huge event, like massive crowd. They were super into it.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck anymore. But Canelo being Canelo, he gets the job done here. He's a good competitor.
Where to next for Canelo?
Who knows? Saunders was another guy that had an undefeated record coming into this. They all talk about undefeated records.
And he blitzed him.
Again, another dominant win. I'm not sure. Everyone talks about the Triple G fight, and he beat Triple G twice in their rematches from their draws, and I think Canelo may have pissed hot in one of them. But I think Triple G's fallen off a little bit since then, and I don't think there's anyone kind of like massive name out there. There'll be a contender, of course. There'll be some guy that's undefeated that they'll throw in front of him. But at this stage, I just don't see him losing. There's no like Manny to his Floyd, he's Mayweather at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think he chases I don't want to say the money route, but with Floyd taking on?
Floyd's like 50, so
and Canelo's in his prime, but if some moron YouTuber calls him out and offers some cash.
I'd say if it's more of it's like Conor McGregor calls him out,
he takes it.
Yeah, he'll take that and smoke Conor McGregor inside 2 rounds. Like it's a different beast. Anyways. Probably not. He's getting paid fuckloads by design
already.
He's getting shit. He's getting like 100 mil a fight. Like he's getting shitloads of money. I don't think he's worried about that, and he might start thinking about his legacy. I think he's fighting in 2 different weight divisions at the moment, trying to collect all those belts like Thanos. Because he added from this win, he added another one, so I think he's got 4 or 5 belts across 2 different divisions.
Right, he's a freak.
He's a freak. He's an absolute machine as a boxer. So.
Let's jump across to the UFC. UFC 262 happens Sunday, our time, Saturday night over there in the States. We won't go through the whole card.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a stink card, but it's just not as good as 261 was with the 3 title fights and then the 2 big names that kind of lead it into that, which both ended up with interesting leg-related injuries in those fights that leading into the 3 title fights. But the main one in this is, of course, the lightweight title new champion because Charles Oliveira is taking on Michael Chandler to be the lightweight champion.
Yeah, Khabib's old division.
Yeah, so taking Khabib's, it's the winner
vacated belt.
He vacated the belt. He retired. Dustin got the fight with McGregor, so that's why he's not involved in this picture or in this scenario. So they've taken this route. They really want to fast track Michael Chandler. Oliveira, I think, he's on a double-digit win streak at the moment. The only other guy that was kind of in that conversation, but has only starting to work his way back, is Tony Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
He's the co-main, so he's fighting one of the other blokes.
Neil
Darush. And I think Darush is another up-and-comer. So, again, I think they're both top 5, top 10 lightweights. So, if anything happens between now and then, they'd probably be the alternate for this belt. But it'd be good to see Tony Ferguson come back and get back into the winners' column. He struggled of late coming back. He got smoked by Gagey. I think he needs a good win under his belts to get back into the form he was in, where he was super dominant. I think he was on a 13-fight win streak before he had some issues with mental health and possibly an assault charge at one point. And he blew his ACL out. So
that doesn't help.
All that together kind of doesn't help out. He's actually wasn't an assault charge. He had a restraining order from his missus because I think he had mental health problems and just trying to clear that up. So it'd be good to see him get back in the winners column. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. I have no idea who wins this fight, honestly. Chandler is like, for all the hardcore fans, he's excellent. He's been there, dominated in the previous leagues before joining the UFC. Yep. Absolutely smoked our boy. It's not Horn. I can't remember actually was technically a Kiwi, but
Dan Hooker.
That's the one. Yeah, smoked Dan Hooker. And announced himself in the division, and they've put him straight away into the title contention. Oliveira makes the most sense if it wasn't Dustin Poirier. I'm not sure who wins this. Man, it's going to be a good fight.
Looked red hot against Dan Hooker. I think he coming out of Bellator. I think he's there. Yeah,
he was the biggest fighter that wasn't in the UFC at that point.
Yep.
So once he signed with the UFC, that's a huge get for them. Does he win this? I could definitely see him win it. Oliveira is a bit of an upstart, but he's had such a great run in the UFC at the moment. Like I said, double-digit win streak. I don't know. Thoughts? Any guys going to jump out on a limb and pick a bloke out of these two back?
Yeah, no, I like Chandler. Just the way that he dismantled Hooker. Yeah, I think he's there. I think he's ready for it.
I'll go Oliveira just to be different.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick search here to find his recent record, just to see if there's any. So, he beat Tony Ferguson in December. So that was after Tony lost to Gagey. He's then lost to Oliveira. He's beaten Kevin Lee. They're probably the two biggest names. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's on an 8-fight win streak in the UFC at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
So
I
think I'm going to Chandler in this. I don't want to say the UFC wants him to win, but there's a
he's been fast tracked.
He's definitely been fast tracked. He can talk well. He can cut some good promos, so they definitely want him there because then he can go out and call out whoever the winner of Dustin and McGregor is, which UFC would probably, hey, I love McGregor to win that, and then they can have the two kind of mouthpieces going back and forth. I think Dustin probably beats McGregor again. Yeah. You'd say, and Dustin's just like, I'm happy to get paid, and then I'll go beat Chandler and win the belt. So we'll have to see. Of course, there's Gagey still floating out there, but we'll see how he fits back into this picture.
Yeah, he seems to be a bit hard done by everything, sort of just because he's not marketable as a Chandler or a McGregor.
Everyone loves his knockout power. Getting absolutely dominated by Khabib didn't help his chances.
True.
So he needs
so is everyone.
Yeah. He needs a good win under his belt to then put himself back in that conversation. The problem is everyone else has dance partners, so he can't jump back into that conversation at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with him. Probably something will happen after this gets announced. Well, after this happens, there'll be results in this. McGregor and Dustin in June, so it's not too far away. And then we'll have a bit of clearer picture in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
Do you want to move from fighting into golf?
Yeah, the best segue.
As we do.
Look, both very mentally challenging games.
Yeah, very true.
When was the last time there was a big fight in golf?
Oh, never, probably. No, I've seen a couple little clips getting around where there's an absolute blow up and
what would you fight about in golf?
Oh, everything. Cheating.
Anything. Yeah.
Someone being better than you.
But in a PGA related.
Oh, never.
When we
never have
too civil.
That's it. I was going to say when we play golf, we've got to probably a case of beer in between us.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd see a few, but
Yeah.
probably not at the top level.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you boys didn't see that one.
Hitting someone else's ball.
Yeah.
Hitting up on someone, that's the big thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Probably hitting a bloke. With if you're hitting up on someone, you hit someone, that's probably what will set you off for a fight.
Who was that AFL bloke who got clocked a few weeks ago by a golf ball?
Yes.
I have to go back into the...
Into the archive on the Esky, but yes, it has happened.
Anyways, Rory McIlroy, he won as Monkey shouted him a beer, the Wells Fargo Championship there in North Carolina. Big story coming out of this golf tournament. Bryson DeChambeau.
What the fuck happened here? Doesn't he have like a agent or a manager or some minders?
No, well, he's got like a private jet.
anyone around him.
Yeah, anyone that was there
And
with
he-
him, his caddy.
He calls the shots apparently. So seemed like on Friday night, he was predicted 2 shots over the cut. He's like, fuck it, I'll go home to Dallas.
Head start, beat the traffic.
Yeah, I don't know what the thinking was, but
in his private jet, I'm beating the fucking traffic.
well, he jumped on it. He was in 90th place, and then I think the wind changed, and
There was weather.
Yeah, there was weather, and everyone else stunk on on the second round. And by the time we landed in Dallas, he was coming 63rd, and then they're like, "Oh, well, you made the cut." So Saturday morning, 2:45, red-eyed, jumps.
So what? He went home, hopped into bed, had a sleep for a little bit, and then
yeah, just like-
I heard he got a gym session in between.
I think he was lifting weights. Friday
does not
night.
surprise me.
Yeah, Friday night he was lifting weights, and then I think he had about 3 hours sleep, and they're like, "All right, well, back you go." They flew back to North Carolina, and then get this, on fucking 3 hours sleep, he shoots 68, like, as the day of the day of his tournament, and then back out there on Sunday, he shoots 68 again, finish ninth.
That's crazy.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
I think he stated, "I'm glad I finished ninth because it can cover the private jet costs for going 2 times more than I needed to do."
That's too good.
Shout out to you, Bryson. Let's finish with some soccer news. Neymar has re-signed over there at PSG, 4-year deal worth 47 million AUDs a year.
Yeah, 26 mil pounds.
£26 or euros, be somewhere in between. I think the big question mark around PSG is, can they win that elusive Champions League?
They're not doing it this year.
No, and last
this
year,
year, yeah.
last year also finished in the semis. So that'll be really encouraging for PSG fans for next year. Obviously, Man City and Chelsea face off in the Champions League final coming up next week. And City have it's official.
They're finally official. It's been official for us for 2 months.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, I'd probably say 10 weeks. But yeah, they've got their third Premier League in the last 4 years, and Leicester, they really solidified their Champions League aspirations with a win over Manchester United. So it seems like that. I think the top 4 is sorted. City 1, United 2, and then Chelsea and Leicester will be 3rd or 4th, and then I think the Hammers are 5 points behind them.
Yes, they 6. So they've slipped to they're at 58 points. Actually, yeah, Hammers are in 5th. They're at 58 points. Chelsea are in 4th at 64.
Yeah, so I think that is sorted. I think Bayern and Inter have wrapped up the Bundesliga and Serie A. Spain will be interesting. I think it's Barca, Real, and Atletico going at it there. And France, it hasn't been decided just yet. I think it's PSG and Lille going at it there.
What's left in the EPL? I think they've got
Three
games.
3 games. Yeah, it's 3 or 2 depending on your club.
38 in total. So, yeah, most of them have played 35 or 34. So 3 to 4 left.
All right. Well, that'll wrap us up.
Any other final thoughts or questions before we finish up for today? What are you looking forward to this week?
Australian Rugby Union wrapped up last week. Queensland Reds.
Reds beat the Brumbies.
Crusaders won over there in New Zealand.
Yep.
You seen their coach? He breakdances. He does. They win and he breakdance. Yeah.
Wow.
You can look that up next
Yeah,
week.
right.
Yeah.
So up next in the world of rugby, at least now on our side of the world, is the Trans-Tasman Championship. So between Australia and New Zealand, there'll be a couple of games played across.
Is that the top 2 or top? It has to be the top 2.
We will find out for next week.
Okay. Done.
Have to watch some rugby.
yeah.
Maybe.
And I think there's, besides the domestic sports, there's not a huge amount of sports next week. And the NBA, of course, jumping into
Yeah,
playing.
NBA will be getting its finals.
Yeah, that's a massive one. The playing tournament starting next week on 6 days from now, which is Quick Math Tuesday.
Tuesday. Righto. And now.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Check
you
out our
very much.
socials. We've got Twitter and social and Instagram. Check out our shitty memes on Instagram and terrible tweets on
Gotta get a few
Twitter.
more of those going.
Yeah.
Is someone operating the Twitter?
Yeah, I've been putting some stuff up there. Just keep ticking it over.
Maybe Facebook. Facebook will.
Yeah. So someone needs to take Facebook and jump on
I'll
that.
do it.
I was going to say LinkedIn, but you're right.
Yeah.
Someone. Here's
I
one.
like being employed, James.
No, one final one for you before you go. I was at a wedding a couple of weeks ago and I was talking to someone double my age, let's say. Well dressed, articulate, very, very nice guy.
Yep.
And then he goes, "You should look me up on LinkedIn." I said, "Man, fuck, come on, read the credit." I don't have no fucking LinkedIn. I'm a pisshead idiot. I'm 30. Like, I don't know LinkedIn. But anyways, shout out to you, sir. I hope your business dealings are going well.
Yes.
We just drink beer and talk shit about sport. If you like it, follow us on the Esky Instagram, Twitter, Facebook's coming.
And of course, the YouTube. So
the YouTubes.
please
YouTube's
subscribe,
the main one,
like, and if you've got things you want to ask us questions about or want us to have a look into anything, just drop it in the comments because we will try our best to answer or have a look into it.
Sounds good.
Thank you all for joining us for this week's On the Esky. Again, shout out to Macca and his future
all the best.
mother-in-law. She's all the best and that she deals with her medical problems okay, gets through unscathed. So sending our love, of course. And thank you, boys, for coming out. We'll do it all again next week with some more sports news.
Yeah, talk about the
Opinions.
sports that happens when the sports teams play the other sports teams.
How about that local sports team?
How good. Catch us next week.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.